Blog Talk Radio.
Here we go with the main event of the evening. Ladies and gentlemen in attendance, boxing fans joining us around the world. It's time for the bout you've all been waiting for. Finally, it is showtime.
Here, man, we dedicate our life to this sport. We do thousands of sit-ups in camp. We run hundreds of miles, for the ones that take it serious. And we just dedicate ourselves fully to our craft, man. We watch tape. We attitude, we rooting, and we go into that fight and to land on the line.
Boxing fans, this is the Rope-A-Dope Radio Podcast. I am your host, Chris Carlson. We are live on a Thursday. That's right, on a Thursday. Kind of strange, but, I've said it before. I've said it again. The last chunk of, probably the last month or so, life just gets in the way, okay? So anyway, we got a lot to talk about, man. And although we have a variety of news items to touch upon at some point in the show, most of the topics is my favorite topics because it has to do with inside the actual ring. We're coming off a great fight between Beterbiev and Volchik, the TKO victory for Beterbiev. Obviously a big deal for him and for the division. You know what? I just realized something. Shoot. Okay. Sorry. Anyway, by the way, the number to dial is 646-381-4990, 646-381-4990. Anyway, like I said, we're definitely going to start with recap from a spirited fight between those two, the light heavyweight unification bout. Some say it's, now that is the lineal. And I guess technically it is, right, because of the Stevenson thing, but I don't really get into the lineal thing too heavy because of the idea of the Stevenson thing, like some people wanted to strip him, some people didn't. They did have that Kovalev thing where, they did try to do the purse bid, and, whatever. For those who don't know what I'm talking about, the WBC made Kovalev, after Kathy Duva from Main Events, Kovalev's promoter, basically said, hey, let's get us ranked. Let's become the mandatory. And so they did, and then they were going to lose the purse bid, so they decided not to do it. So there was the chance to get your lineal title, yada, yada, yada. I don't really care. Bivol's out there. Other fighters are out there, especially Bivol, though. So it is what it is. Great fight, though. It's a fun fight to watch. Well, maybe not a great fight, but a very fun fight to watch, no doubt about it. And you got your knockout, too. Now, this weekend, I'm really excited. The next couple of weekends are just got some interesting fights, but this fight weekend is stacked. And actually, Showtime has good fights that aren't just show boxes, if you can believe it. Yeah, I said it. I'm not 100% if this is true, but this year Showtime has been rough. But they've actually, brought up some fights. I'm gonna bring up some fights. That they actually just recently scheduled as well. Anyway, the big one is Josh Taylor versus Regis Prograis. That's going to be on DAZN from the UK O2 London. That's a 50-50 fight on paper. Shakur Stevenson steps up against Joet Gonzalez. It's basically like two contender-level guys, like basically prospects / contenders. I know it's for a vacant WBO belt and all that, but this is like this kind of makes it like, okay, this is a true test right here for Shakur Stevenson and Joet Gonzalez. They do have some family stuff going on, which is kind of interesting that we'll get into as far as Shakur's dating Joet's sister. So it's on some, like Bob Arum says, Romeo and Juliet, or what the hell is that play where they're street fighting but they're dancing. I can't remember what it is. Anyway, and also Erickson Lubin trying to climb back up the ladder at 154 against Nathan Gallimore and Robert EasterJr. versus EasterJr-Granados, which is really interesting. That'll be on Showtime. That Stevenson-Gonzalez fight will be on ESPN Plus. And there is a variety of news that we'll get to as well. The WBC convention happened. It's still happening, I think. We'll give you some news update. Let's just put it this way. Bob Arum and Lomachenko are very happy. But there are some other news updates as far as mandatories and what's going to be next and all that good stuff. Oscar De La Hoya has a lawsuit and allegations. Another week, another lawsuit. He's, denying it. He's out there saying he's going to fight it. We'll see if they actually fight it in the courtroom or if, that means a settlement. I'm not really sure exactly how that's going to go, but we'll see. We'll definitely see. Give you a little information about Patrick Day. Rest in peace to Patrick Day. He hadn't passed away since the last time I had done my show. So definitely have, some items to talk about that. And just some, other items as far as fights that got made or information on fights that we know are going to happen, but they're not quite announced just yet. Before we get into it, though, if this is your first time checking out the Rope-A-Dope Radio podcast, welcome. It streams live on blogtalkradio.com/Rope-A-Dope Radio. It streams live. It archives. It's basically the headquarters, okay? It's boxing first, but we do talk football and basketball on separate shows if you're interested. But you don't have to just listen to it on Blog Talk. You can find it on Apple Podcasts, Player FM, TuneIn, Spreaker, Stitcher, really all across the board, including the Grueling Truth Sports Podcast Network. That can also be found across the board, including iHeartRadio. In fact, you can check out the show on Spotify. You could use Syria. Did I just say that? I guess that's in the news, right? Siri or Alexa through Spotify or TuneIn to find the show as well. And while you're at it, why don't you head on over to thegruelingtruth.net. That's thegruelingtruth.net. They got a great sponsor over there, betnow.eu, promo code TGT. That's promo code TGT, betnow.eu. Head on over to thegruelingtruth.net. It's boxing, it's football, it's basketball, it's baseball, it's everything in between. And real quick, now that the fall swing for sports is all the way in, you're probably going to need at least some sort of cable package. Maybe you cut the cord and you're not happy. Maybe you're thinking about cutting the cord. Give AT&T TV Now a try. You do have a 7-day free trial. The plans start as low as $50. That's HBO included, no annual contract. You can stream it anywhere. They have the cloud DVR. That's AT&T TV Now. It's cable streaming. I actually do it myself. All right. So anyway, we have ourselves a lot to talk about. And like I said, a lot of it's inside the ring. So I'm very, very happy when it's not just outside the ring stuff. But real quick, I did want to mention rest in peace once again to Patrick Day. We do now have a GoFundMe that you can check out. Jamal Charlo, he actually donated money to the family of Patrick Day to pay for the funeral. So that was a nice gesture. There was a media member that made that public. He didn't want to make that public, but that was a nice gesture by Jamal, no doubt about it. But yeah, this GoFundMe is for the medical expenses and support for the Patrick Day family. So obviously this guy was making some money as a boxer. And, when you're induced into a coma and you're in, ICU like for a long time, for like even if it's 3-4 days, that's a lot of money that piles up quickly. And there has been some talk about this with Scully and a couple other people in this boxing group that I'm, not involved with, but part of. And he was talking about, the promoter has insurance. And it's like, Well, yeah, they do, but that doesn't cover everything. That's really basic, just to have the event go on type of stuff is really what that's all about. So um, they definitely still need some help there. But rest in peace, the Patrick Day. And I think I went on a rant last week. I've gone on a rant. In America, we're not used to seeing 4 deaths in a year. Was it 4? Is it 4 here or 3? We're just not used to seeing this many deaths take place in the country. Usually the boxing deaths, and this is why it doesn't draw as much attention. Unfortunately, they're all over the world, obviously, just because the sport is it's world boxing now, 100%. It's all over the world taking place, and we're usually we hear stuff like some guy was fighting on his cousin's or brother's license in some place, and that person passed away, unfortunately, or somebody had been knocked out in a different country, had fought a month or month and a half later when they should have been healing, and ended up passing. And then there's stuff like this one where you just don't know. You just don't know, because he got knocked down, he got back up, he was ready to fight. His eyes were clear. Seemed like not everything was fine as far as how the fight was going, but, he didn't seem in trouble. And then he was in trouble, and this is a dangerous sport. You got to put it all in perspective, like a sport like mountain climbing. The free the free climb has been so popular maybe in the last decade or so, probably more than that, that it's obviously caused more deaths. But there's a lot of deaths in football. It's just not on the pro level. Usually it's high school and college, and a lot of times it's in the summer, during 2 days and stuff like that. Now, I'm not trying to lessen the blow of Patrick Day and others that passed away in this sport. I'm just keeping it all in perspective. And not only that, but like I said, I think a lot of my rant was to all those people on Twitter who come across as just the toughest dudes, and they kind of pick and choose who they think are quitters. Or there was people that think that Vostick quit, and other people that think other fighters quit, but think Vostick, didn't quit. So it's really about fanboy stuff, and just like I said, being that tough guy on Twitter. And at some point, this is not just well, first of all, we always say it. Boxing's not a game. It's not a game. You repeatedly get hit in the head, and it's not just for our entertainment, okay? These people are real people, and they deserve some respect. And busy calling them bums and pussies and bitches and all this stuff. And I understand, when some boxer says something crazy where you're like, dude, what? You were a year or two ago, you were the one saying this. Now you're saying that? That's different. That's different. It's not that you can't be critical towards boxers or promotions or whatever, but there's just a time and a place and a level of respect that you got to have. So, like I said, rest in peace, Patrick Day. From the sounds of it, from a couple of people that I've talked to, the guy was just well respected, doesn't do it, justice, to be honest with you. So RIP. Like I said, go check out that GoFundMe, even if it's $10, $20, $5, $50, whatever it is. It's obviously for a good cause, clearly. Now, the big fight that we're going to talk about here is Beterbiev and Vostick. Now, the G all of a sudden is starting to get pronounced Gavostic, I don't know. For a while, it's been Vostick, okay? So that's what we're going with. It kind of sounds fun. Same with Beterbiev, Beterbiev, Beterbiev. It's all in that realm, okay? And actually, a lot of people are having problems pronouncing the I think it was Russian dude that beat Collazo. Collazo was actually hurt as well. So I'm not going to announce I'm not going to try to pronounce that dude's name, but nice win for you. And Louis Collazo, I don't know where his career goes from here. But anyway, this was a very competitive fight. Now, for me, it's not fight of the year. I think people, because it's unification, get a little more excited for a fight, which rightfully so. You know what I mean? Also, this Russian Eastern European wave that's hit, which most of the fighters look white or are white, right? That goes into it too, because you got a lot of white dudes on Twitter just saying this is the best fight ever and, all that stuff. This is a very, very good competitive fight. My thing about this fight, the way we hyped it up but then dump on other stuff, it's a unification, so that's what was beautiful about it. But style-wise, even the way Voshtik fought, it's funny how some of these guys that like any Eastern Euro or Russian dude because they're white, it's funny how when other dudes, especially PBC dudes, but other dudes, fight in the style, which I appreciate, the way Voshtik fought, a lot of people dump on those type of fighters. So that kind of makes it interesting with all this stuff. I wanted to mention that too, because I'm white and I can see the difference. You know what I mean? I can see the difference with some of this stuff. And it's literally like 38 dudes on Twitter. But anyway, it's just funny that because these dudes are white, they get that much more excited. I'm just being honest. And, it's not all that different from two Mexican fighters fighting or whatever. You know what I mean? It's funny to see that form. But anyway, I had it 2-2 after 4. This, like I said, was a very competitive fight. Did you like the busy work and some flush shots along with the movement of Voshtik, or did you like the heavier shots from Beterbiev? That's really what this fight came down to. I just liked the early work from Voshtik, the in-and-out scoring to the head and to the body. There was a late knockdown that turned out not to be a knockdown. It was more like a left hand kind of grapple, in a sense, like an old school clothesline move. So that was nice. It's kind of like an arm tackle. It was kind of nice how they went right to replay. It's the second time now it's happened in a fight. It's like, hey, wow, technology's there. Use it. Oh my God. As long as we don't get, too out of hand with it and we stop the fight or anything like that. But then I gave Beterbiev the second and third round. Although you had Voshtik still with that busy work, to me the harder shots, and finishing stronger, like say in the third round, were Beterbiev. He started kind of roughing him up too, which I thought was very effective. And I talked about going in. He's going to have to make this a rough and tumble fight. I thought he accomplished that, no doubt about it. Although I thought it was a nice bounce back round in the fourth round by Voshtik, the busy work. Then he started landing some good shots, clean punches, and some of them were going to the body. Fifth round was kind of a swing round. Just because it was a slow round, it was probably the slowest round of the fight. I gave Voshtik the sixth round. He was back on his stick and move. There were some really nice, actually a great right-hand exchange that I thought was really telling and kind of led to more stuff. You did have Beterbiev landing clean shots. There were just only a few of them. Now, the seventh round, to me, that was another close round where you're like, I got to watch that one again. I've been busy, so unfortunately I haven't been able to watch this fight again. But I favor Beterbiev, I believe, but it's a question mark. The eighth round I gave the Voshtik. The jab and the right hand did it for me. Ninth round back to Beterbiev, and he started turning up. He turned the tide with a body shot, I believe, in that round, and he must have at least buzzed him. It seemed like he was pretty hurt. But mid and late, I mean, he was really starting to pile up the punch rate, and actually it was a high 28 punches landed, I believe a high on either side. So the writing started to, it was on the wall. You could see it. It was like, oh, wow, he's starting to really wear him down now. And to me, Voshtik just started getting more arm punchy and moving and holding and, doing all the stuff I understand when you're wearing down. But that's, like I said, the writing was on the wall. Then Beterbiev, heavy shots. He started landing his jab, right hand, left hooks. Voshtik took a knee after some flush shots. Second knockdown, I think it was a left hand. Then it was another left hand flush, I believe. But anyway, it was a TKO at the end of it. They basically just, he did technically get up, and he kind of turned to the side, and he was done. You could see it on his face. Sounds like he got a concussion. A lot of people said, how could he get a concussion? Where was the concussion? He wasn't out, but people don't understand that you can have walking concussions, especially in a sport like boxing. You can have walking concussions. So, and that is basically like your head got hit hard enough to where you just went out for a split second. When they say, seeing daisies or seeing frickin', well, that's pushing up daisies, isn't it? But, you're just out of it. You're seeing, like, your eyes get all weird, and you're seeing just some random stuff going on, basically. It happens, but he did spend, I believe, an extra night, Voshtik did, in the hospital from that. Clearly had some, some damage, no doubt about it. And he tried to fight hard, He tried to fight hard. And down the stretch, and like I said, some people think that's quitting, straight up. He just quit. And, the one thing is all the knockdowns, those first knockdowns were just like I said, arm tackles. But a lot of the knockdowns were after some heavy shots, and he kind of just went down. It's not like all three knockdowns were from a punch, and then you hit the canvas uncontrollably. You know what I mean? So it's not like you're on the ground or like you went to the ground. You couldn't help your body. You couldn't stop your body from doing it. That's, kind of like it's usually a bad sign when you get punched and you fall forward on a knockdown and you don't even put your arms up. That really tells you that you're kind of cemented into your shoes like that and really hurt. Whereas this one, it was kind of like he was just wearing down, really hurt to the body, started getting hurt up top as well. And he kind of just was like, yeah, I'm going to take a knee. I'm kind of getting knocked down, but also just going down. Taking a knee can be really smart as well. We've seen that plenty of times. Of course, Provodnikov and Bradley fight. This was a little different, but so I think I had Voshtik up by a round. 1, 2, 3. I had 2 swing rounds in there, but I think I either had it a draw. Well, I couldn't have had it a draw going into the 10th, right? So maybe it was 5-4. Yeah, I think it was 5-4 going into the 10th round. Could have been either one, though. It could have been either way. It could have been 4-4-1, and I would have been just fine with that. I'd have been just fine with that. So anyway, a big win for Beterbiev. Voshtik's got to go back to the drawing board. Like I said, for the people that say, I don't know, some people, it's kind of a combination of both, right? Like some people will just always say a person quit, period, point blank, and they just chalk that up as, no, you're not hard enough. You're not, mentally hard, strong enough, basically. These are the people not taking the punches, obviously. And then some folks out there, and I say percentage-wise, it was some of these white dudes that I'm telling you about, who are just excited about Russians and Eastern Europeans, and they're taking over the sport. They're the best. This is the best fight because it's 2 white dudes fighting, basically. I'm just being honest. And it's not all race stuff. Some of them are racist. Some of them are just prideful, right? Or some of it's kind of like borderline. It's like, which one is it, dude? It's kind of like, which one is it? Why are you voting for Trump again? No, I'm just kidding. But well, I'm not. But anyway, so there's also that the people were mad at people that said he quit. Although some of those same people that were mad at people about saying Vuctic quit, I've seen these people say they quit. In fact, some of these people said Mikey Garcia basically quit in the fight. Well, he didn't take a knee. He could have. In the corner, would anyone have freaked out after seeing all the punishment Garcia took and the body punches he took as well? If he would have taken a knee in that fight, and it would have helped his cause because people would be like, "Oh, dude, he's really hurt now." Oh no, you know what I mean? But he didn't, and I'm not saying, "Oh, Mikey's better than Vuctic," because he didn't. No, that's not what I'm saying. Is I saw a high percentage of these people that were mad at people and chasing them down on Twitter, saying Vuctic didn't quit. This is what's wrong with the people, and this, But then they're the ones who say Mikey Garcia basically didn't try to win the fight, and he quit in that fight. He didn't give effort, although he, got well over 300 punches landed on him, and he took a hell of a beating. Once again, you're not in there taking the beating, but you're on the sidelines, chalking up a play and shit like that. It's funny how that works, you know what I mean? It's basically a agenda driven, but a very, very, very good fight. I like these type of fights where you have a skillful guy and a guy cutting them off. Like I said, some people fight of the year just has to be rock'em sock'em, period. That's kind of what they think of, you know what I mean? But I don't know. I just thought it was a really good fight. I'm not worried about where you place it, if it's the 7th best fight, or for you it's the first or second or the 10th or whatever. I'm not calling it the fight of the year. I just thought it was a fun fight to watch. I think Vuctic, had some skill on the outside that I really appreciated. Also, I forgot to mention this. I think some of the keys, of course, Beterbiev cutting off the ring, Beterbiev once in a while countering the jab or jabbing himself on the way in. Like I said, making it a rough and tumble fight. But some of it was Beterbiev timing, not just timing over Vuctic's jab, especially when it got a little more arm punchy and he didn't respect it. Because Beterbiev did get stood up a little bit, buzzed one of those times. I think it was one of those right-hand exchanges. Both of them actually may have gotten buzzed on that one, but it was at range, so he was close enough. But he would do this little move where it kind of looked like he was about to start a body attack, and then he'd come with this short right hand. Sometimes it was like a short overhand right, and like I said, he was timing Vuctic by the end of the fight, and it was at range. It wasn't like right up on him, and he would kind of do these little footwork moves and then bam, land this right hand, and it was just sneaky. It was crafty, and that was a key. So that is it may not look pretty, but that's a skill to time someone like that, and it's not just countering. It's literally he just beat him to the punch, but he did it in a different way. He may not have the hand speed, but he did it in a different way. So I'm really happy for Beterbiev though, because remember when he came on the scene, I believe he was on Showtime. He was on those CBS shows during the afternoon. I think that's where did he take on Campillo or Cloud in that? I don't know, but he devoured Cloud. He took care of an aged Campillo. He came on the scene like, dude, don't get on the ropes with this guy because he'll combo punch the fuck out of you, and you're going to be out. And obviously, what is it, 15-0 with 15 KOs? But then he had promoter issues, and he also just had it basically stalled his career. It wasn't just promoter issues. It was also, some guys just didn't want to fight him. And so he would try to work his way up in this, mandatory spot. Then something happened. Then he had an injury. He ended up getting away from his promoter with the lawsuit stuff, and they settled it. He actually isn't with Heyman, I believe, anymore either. So this was big. This was really big for him. So kudos to Beterbiev. he definitely did well, and I was kind of surprised at the rating. I thought the rating would peak higher, but then I kind of forgot that it was a Friday night fight, and the lead-in was not like a Saturday night college football lead-in, where it's going to be 3, 4, 5 million people watching. This one, that the NCAA college football game only did like 1.1 or averaged a million. I think it peaked at like 1.2 or something like that. So the card averaged 635, which is below their average, just barely. It peaked at like 7 something or 685 or something like that. But that was at the beginning of the broadcast. And they did kind of take a little while to get there. The game went a little long, but then when they got to the live show, I suppose they needed to fill time because it was like, okay, we're going to show the end of the Collazo fight, but then, we needed to fill the time slot, I guess, because they did talk too much about it. Well, not just that, the fight, but they're talking about Tyson Fury and stuff like that. But, it is what it is. What are you going to do? It does suck, though, because this is a good fight, and these are top-level fighters, and this is the type of stuff you want. And I never saw a commercial for it. I did see the little tag on ESPN that says, Peter Bia versus Voshtik. It's kind of like the Stevenson-Gonzalez. Last night I watched the NBA, and in the corner during the game, once in a while they'd have that up. Or during the afternoon, sometimes they'll just have that up. And that's cool, but obviously it's not like a commercial. It's also, there's a bottom line, so there's information scrolling by it. And so even though it seems prominent and it's right there, obviously it's only doing a little bit because they had that up during some big games. And it didn't, it hasn't, I don't know, it didn't really resonate, I guess you could say. So maybe more commercials, I guess you could say. But like I said, their lead-in wasn't as strong, but you'd think in a fight like this that they could peak at 1 million. You know what I mean? Because it's a big fight, but it is hard. You got, Russian and Eastern Europeans, and sometimes they, catch popularity. Like obviously Golovkin being the biggest one, and Lomachenko's starting to really get there, and Usyk, just fought in front of a nice crowd in front of in Chicago, and yada yada yada. But either way, at the end of the day, Peter Bia did his job. He's got a mandatory next. It's a kind of an unbeaten prospect type dude in a sense, and then they'll look for Bivol or who else. I'm not really 100% sure. Although there was a fight made that could lead, or there's going to be a fight made that could lead to the mandatory spot. You never know. Like another one. Because now he has, obviously, 2 belts. So, but like I said, kudos to Peter Bia. He definitely showed up, man. Definitely showed up. Had a great, oops. Okay. The hell? Okay. Sorry. The number to dial is 646-381-4990. 646-381-4990. I know it's kind of a weird day to do the show. Like I said, life has just been randomly getting in the way, and so you got to maneuver. I wanted to do this one live on Blog Talk, and hopefully that it was going to, be all good. And so far it has. There's been no issues or anything like that. But Blog Talk only allows one show a day. So that kind of got in the way a little bit too. And I ended up doing the Vikings show because the Vikings played at night, so it's kind of a short week, yada, yada, yada. You don't care. You're here for boxing. And that's what we're going to talk about. Now, obviously, we got a variety of fights coming up this weekend. I'd say, the one that stands way out is it's for the World Boxing Super Series final. I'm not going to say it's lineal. I'm not going to sit there and say it's 1 against 2. But because there's other 140-pounders out there, Jose Ramirez and others that, have a say in that. But Josh Taylor versus Regis Prograis is a damn good fight, a 50-50 fight. Really looking forward to it. A lot of speed, a lot of power, some skill, lack of defense. All this stuff kind of plays into what should be a good fight. Shakur Stevenson, that's on DAZN, by the way. Shakur Stevenson and Gonzalez fight on ESPN+. Like I mentioned, Bob Arum is trying to go with the Romeo and Juliet theme, where it's a family feud almost. West 57, what the hell is that? Oh my God, I can't believe I can't remember that play. It got turned into a movie, of course, and it was street gangs fighting each other, but they'd be dancing because it was a musical. What the hell? I can't believe I can't remember the damn title of that. I'm about to Google this shit. It's getting so bad. But anyway, West Side Story. Jesus Christ. And that's dating me both ways, that I couldn't remember it and that I do know it. But anyway, so yeah, Arum's going with that, which I think is awesome and funny. But yeah, basically Shakur is dating Shakur Stevenson, and it's not just for the fight. You know, he's not just lending his ear to a lady. He's been dating her, I guess, for the last couple of years, is from what I understand. So, but he's been dating Joette Gonzalez's sister, for those who don't know. So, West Side Story, here we come. That's going to be an ESPN Plus, like I mentioned. And then two fights I'm really looking forward to, Lubin and Galimore. Lubin still trying to climb that ladder back up from 154 after getting knocked out randomly in the first round against Charlo, I think 2 years ago, right around this time, actually. In fact, I think the picture, that still picture of Lubin kind of trapped, stuck, glued, however you want to say it, glued to the canvas. And Charlo was even about to start to attack, and it's just a great shot. I saw that on my flashback for my memories on Facebook the other day. So he's climbing back against a power puncher. This was supposed to be Terrell, Gauthier or Goucher, which I preferred just because of what had transpired in the last fight. That's for sure. But what are you going to do? What are you going to do? This is a good fight, though, in a sense. It's another power puncher. So we'll see, how Lubin does. And also Robert Easter Jr. versus EasterJr-Granados is a really interesting fight. Granados, the only thing about – two things with Granados. One, I'm really happy he's going back to 140. It's about time. He was just for the money. He was fighting at a higher weight class, which I can respect. And he got some big fights against Broner and Porter and Denny Garcia. So I get it. But he's a 140-pounder, period. So it's nice that he gets to go back down to 140. And Easter Jr. probably happy at 140 because, he's a big freaking tall-ass dude for 135. And so that probably helps him. You know what I mean? So we're going to see what gives in that fight. Is Granados going to be the guy that's going to be on the outside boxing? And Easter Jr. is going to do the thing that a lot of people don't want him to do or are scratching their head why he doesn't do, and that's take advantage of his reach. Instead, a lot of times he just takes it right to the guy. We'll see. We will see. But that's a good fight anyway, and that's on Showtime. Like I said, Showtime is actually showing fights. Yeah, not Showbox. Showtime fights. I was going to say championship boxing, but technically I can't say that, can I? Because it's not. It's just good fights, though. That's all I really give a shit about. So, yeah, we'll definitely talk a little bit more as far as individually breaking some of these matchups down and what they mean at the division and all that good stuff. Should have some folks calling in here in a short little bit to give their take as well on what transpired in the ring on ESPN last weekend, the fight I just went over, and also what's going on this weekend. Now, we do have a variety of news outside of the ring that I'm basically going to start to cover on some of this. Some of it's just quick little news item. Some of it's a little bit more detail, yada, yada, yada. But first and foremost, the WBC is having its convention. I was going to say yearly, but it's not a yearly convention. It can be popping off, a couple times a year. So what's that mean? Well, they usually update a bunch of rulings in news. They'll basically say, hey, this is now the mandatory. We're calling for this fight to make a mandatory. Or, when this fight's over, this person has to fight that person to keep the belt. That type of stuff is what is being discussed. And first and foremost, Bob Arum is going to be a happy man because he got his way. We talked about this probably, a month ago, 2 months ago? I think it was 2 months ago when Bob was talking about franchise champion, and he was, saying, I want, Lomachenko to be the franchise champ. And the franchise champ basically means whoever the interim champion is, they get the full belt, which is just goofy, and that's Devin Haney right now. So technically, even though he didn't necessarily win it, he's the youngest champ in the world right now, I believe. However, he can't become mandatory for Lomachenko. And Bob Arum mentioned how Lomachenko was going to go from 35 to 30 to 26. Like, he can fight anywhere in there, which I didn't know he could still make 26. It would have been nice to have Rigo only have to come up to 26 in that fight, but that's neither here or there. But so basically he can be the WBC franchise champ, just like Canelo, how he wants to go from 60 to 68 to 75 and bounce in and out of those divisions without having to have a Mando. And on the surface, that can be kind of cool, but obviously it screws people. It's going to screw Devin Haney. It screwed Jermall Charlo, who, has been waiting for a fight to be the mandatory, It is what it is. As long as they're fighting legit guys, then it's no big deal. I mean, it's not like Pacquiao and Floyd had to make a bunch of mandatory defenses either, right? But if they're fighting high-profile fights and they're challenging themselves, and every once in a while they throw in some sort of, gimme or something like that, or maybe they acquire more belts, up at a weight class, that'd be different. You know what I mean? Because then you'd be like, well, then I'll do that, and I'll keep that belt. I'll do the mandatory. But as far as the WBC, they're going to, have a belt on the line for all those fights, basically. So Lomachenko has it, and now he's, like I said, it does sound like he's going to wait for the Lopez Comey winner anyway. So, that's not all bad if we're being honest, So if that's the case, that's fine with me. You know what I mean? But we'll see. We'll see where that goes. Some other rulings, a couple of them were no big surprise or just to be expected, even if the outside folks didn't realize that. You do have Gary Russell Jr. now has a mandatory to keep his 126 WBC belt, that King Tug. I can't remember how to say his last name, but that's his nickname, King Tug. He's been on, I think he was on a pay-per-view undercard. He's kind of an exciting, explosive fighter to watch. Now Gary Russell Jr. has got to fight him. Usually that's what Gary Russell Jr. does, is fight his mandatories and then dips. But now he's on some nobody wants to fight me. So maybe he'll fight twice this year. Oh, my God, that'd be crazy. Also, no surprise here, Danny Garcia was made the mandatory for Errol Spence through the WBC. Now he has the IBF and the WBC, so you just assume someone would come out of there. Ugas, I believe, is the is he the IBF? or I thought he was climbing in the WBC. I thought maybe Ugas is gonna be at some point the IBF. You know what? Maybe it was that guy that beat Luis Colazo. Anyway, so that there, like I said, there's no surprises there. There's some other news out there that it is what it is, but those are kind of the big names. I'm sure there's some news that's come out today too that I just haven't gotten to just yet. Speaking of the WBC though, this one's kind of interesting. Yildirim. Okay, Yildirim is the guy who lost in February. He lost to Durrell, which a fair amount of people thought he did enough to beat Durrell. Durrell got that nasty cut. Back-to-back fights, Durrell's gotten a nasty cut on different eyes, but he had that. They went to the scorecards. It actually was here in Minneapolis at the Armory, and anyway, because he actually put an appeal in to say, hey, dude, I should have won that fight. The WBC listened and said, okay, whoever wins the Benavidez-Durrell fight, now we know Benavidez did. He just fought in September. Yildirim gets him. Well, Yildirim, so to keep that belt, Benavidez, he'd have to fight Yildirim, which I was okay with because I kind of did favor Yildirim in that fight as far as who I thought won the fight. And, it got stopped early, so we don't really know how the rest of that, fight would have played out. But either way, a little while ago, there was a new ruling. This is why I brought it up. A little bit ago, Yildirim tested positive for 2 banned substances, but he's now been reinstated as the mandatory challenger to David Benavidez' WBC belt. This was September 13th in his training camp in Big Bear Lake, California. Obviously this is conducted under the WBC clean boxing program. His A sample was positive for a banned steroids, DHCMT, and something else. And they investigated this thing real deep. They, quote unquote, included a thorough scientific investigation and evaluation with the participation of independent experts. That investigation, blah blah blah. Basically, he did not ingest or. They concluded that he did not ingest or became exposed. That's a weird way to put that. Did not ingest or became exposed to a banned substance knowledgeably or with a performance enhancing intention. Instead, he unintentionally and inadvertently became exposed to a substance as part of a muscular inflammation therapy he received in Germany, which was fully confirmed during the investigation. Okay. So they investigated. They said, it's just the meat. Let's just move on. It's basically no. So yeah, we've seen this once in a while. Wasn't it Bermain Stervern who right in front of one of the people involved as far as he's about to take his blood and urine test or whatever, the people that are actually doing the test, he drank an energy drink right in front of him and was like, just so you know, whatever the fuck's in here, I'm putting it in my body. And, you read the label or whatever, and it was fine or whatever, but then it wasn't. Or it made it pop, and then they realized, okay, well, the reason why it popped a little bit is because of this, I don't know. There's been other ones. Obviously, the contaminated meat we've seen as well come through, and Canelo actually in the long run, got cleared on that all the way. Now, so if that ever comes up and it's the measurements, are right as far as trace amounts or whatever, you can get away with that. We saw Francisco Vargas. Remember, he had the meat sweats. So yeah, it is what it is. I was actually looking forward to that fight. I think it's a good veteran for him to go against. So I'm happy. I don't, I'm good when it comes to that, to be honest with you. This is kind of old news, but I'll just update it for those who kind of stay in the realm with the show on news. Spence was released from the hospital. He did get a DUI, and his first message, remember last week I did read that no broken bones, I'm a savage. And obviously it's a very savage message to say, not only with Patrick Day, passing away and some of these deaths we've seen of late, but just in general, dude, like, it's pretty savage to say that, Spence. You know what I mean? Because it's like, come on, dude. Like, you were drinking and driving. We don't know what the speed you were at, but you could have died, dude. So, yeah, you're lucky or whatever that you're a savage or whatever, but come on, dude. That was a little ridiculous. But he was in the hospital for like a week. So did he have like surgery on his mouth and they like took care of the lacerations on his face? Or did he have a back problem? Or did he have something wrong with him? A lot of people are wondering why there hasn't been a recorded message or a picture or anything. And I wonder if his face looks that messed up, or, I've never had my teeth replaced, so I don't know what that looks like after, you know what I mean? But for instance, just getting your wisdom teeth taken out can make your face look all messed up. So I'm wondering if it just looks so bad and swollen that he doesn't want that out there. Or if there was actually something wrong, like he did take some head trauma or internal bleeding or, like I said, a back issue or whatever. I don't know, but he is released. I don't know if he's going to be able to make that January 25th date, though. You know what I mean? So I really don't know, but I wanted to update people on that. Speaking of update, Clarissa Shields' brother, artist Mac, has been charged with a felony assault. Canelo Kovalev, the 40 Days documentary is back. Those were kind of interesting. We knew that Tank was going to fight Gamboa. It's not official, but we know it's happening. The date is December 28th. It's going to be on Showtime. And they're looking at Atlanta, which I would like to see a fight go to Atlanta. If you look at maybe the last decade, 15 years, a lot of talk about let's get some fights in Atlanta, and this seems like a good time to do that with Tank, who he's not from there, but he lives there, and he spends a fair amount of time, and I think they can draw a nice crowd. So that's not the biggest news because we don't know for a fact. There is going to be a Gervonta Davis parade in Baltimore, so hopefully they announce this fight. But what I'm really interested in is Jean Pascal, who actually just got a big win back in August on the undercard of a Fox show. I think it was Konoski and Areola. That's who it was. He upset via knockout Marcus Brown. And he actually went 12 rounds and didn't look half bad against Biffle last December. And remember, he knocked out that prospect. Once he knocked out that prospect like a year and a half ago, I thought, oh, dude, Pascal's going to stay now. And he went 12 rounds with Biffle. He's staying. And sure enough, though, he proved us all wrong because he got the upset. Anyway, he's going to take on Badu Jack. I think that's for like an interim WBA special. But I believe that one of those are going to make him a Mando. Is it for Biffle? Because Biffle has the WBA, right? Volchnik had the WBC. Did Better Biev have the IBF? Or did he have a WBA? Anyway, I like that Jean Pascal and Badu Jack just because they're both faded dudes. So it kind of evens it out. It's going to be interesting. Another fight that we knew is going to happen. It's not official, but we basically know. Daniel Jacobs and Chavez Jr. December 20th. That's a date we didn't know. That's on a Friday, by the way. December 20th at the MGM Grand. And then last but not least, I see Carcino's on the line. I'm going to bring him in real quick here. Oscar De La Hoya has another allegation. He got sued by Tattoo, the local hype DJ dude. Or I shouldn't say local. Well, it's local in L.A., but he did the music and DJ and entertainment, whatever, and I guess a variety of other stuff for Oscar, allegedly in this the allegations. There is more allegations in a lawsuit now too, sexual assault and battery. Okay, so I don't know if it's true. I have no clue. Yeah, I'm not going to sit here and act like I do. When any of this stuff comes up, I always wait for information. Now, it's funny because most of the press, I think Jake Donovan was the one who commented on it, but most of the press didn't touch this Oscar story until Oscar came out and said he denies it and he's going to fight it. Then the stories came out. Kind of weird how that happened, but I'm always, unless there's some just, like a smoking bullet, or like there was blood in the car, or you know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to sit here and comment too deep on this. But we know Oscar's had issues in general of all sorts, and I'm not going to sit here and make fun of his drug and alcohol problems. But we know, he's had problems outside of the ring, and recently I just saw someone post a 2001 article about that 15-year-old girl in Mexico. There's a variety of stuff with Oscar, so I have no clue if the sexual assault charge and battery charge is legit, or to come with a lawsuit right away is kind of like, well, wait a second, which one? Are you getting them in trouble, or are you getting money from them? I don't know. But anyway, he said he's going to fight it. Now, is he actually going to go to court and prove that he didn't do it and fight it, or is he going to, and they're going to be on the stand, or is he going to pay her off? Because we see that a lot of times in the business world, celebrity and athlete, which obviously all goes hand in hand, really, all those three that I just mentioned. So, like I said, I'm not going to sit here and say all this stuff and throw him under a bus because I don't know what happened. But I'm also not going to be like, oh, he didn't do it. Like I saw some people that just no matter what Oscar does, he'll support. But, you see that on all sides of fanboyism, or just, the PBC versus the world, or, Bob Arum against PBC, or whatever the fuck it is, Sometimes it's bias, sometimes ignorance, sometimes it's fanboy stuff. Mayweather could never do wrong to some people. Pacquiao can support a president that wants to, kill gay people and kill drug dealers on the spot right after making a sale, just to execute them. And that's okay. It wasn't okay for Nike because they dropped them, but you know what I mean. So I don't know. We'll see. We're going to follow the story, and then we're going to report on it. That's what we're going to do. But like I said, to take note, I didn't see one report from a top-tier platform. And what I mean by that, I shouldn't say top-tier, just one that has more exposure than your average one, than your average podcast or platform, website, whatever. Just people that do this at a full-time living. I didn't see that until Oscar came out. But I have seen, a Gervonta Davis or whoever, because there's a variety of people in boxing that get in trouble or get sued, for that matter. And they'll post the TMZ shit and they'll do all that, but they got to wait for Oscar on this one. And obviously, with Oscar in the ring, we know the ring is tied with Oscar. In DAZN as well, you can totally see that because DAZN's tied with Golden Boy. But, this is all part of the game. It is what it is. Showtime owns boxing scene. CBS does, actually. So, it is what it is. So that about does it for news. Like I said, we are going to talk about this weekend. I mean, talk about a jam-packed weekend, dude. DAZN has Taylor-Prograis. ESPN Plus has Shakur Stevenson and Joette Gonzalez. And then Showtime. I can't believe they're actually announcing fights. And they have a fight coming up this weekend. Besides show boxes. I love show boxes, but it's not championship boxing or high-level boxing all the time. And, it's a combination is what makes Showtime or has made Showtime great. Not this year, that's for sure. But Erickson Lubin and Nathan Gallimore, EasterJr-Granados. And didn't Rashid Warren get hurt and F.A. Ajabe get hurt? And I think Frank Sanchez, that Cuban prospect who fought here in Minneapolis this summer, in August actually, I think he's filling in. But considering all the injuries, and Goucher, Terrell Goucher in the main event got hurt too. So considering all the injuries in this card, it's still a pretty good card. And I did forget to mention one fight, which I actually like here. And it's Showtime again. Chris Eubank Jr. against Matt Korobov on the undercard of Charlo and Hogan. I really like that fight. That is going to be, this is the, how many WBAs and franchise champs and super champs and all this shit. Sometimes you don't care. It's really about how good the fight is. But also, you get confused. And I think this is where I got confused right here. I think that the Eubank Jr. and Korobov is actually for a vacant WBA special, and that's going to make them a mandatory for who? Now I'm lost again. Does Canelo have the Who has the damn WBA at middleweight now? Does Canelo still? Or did he? There's three of them, so who knows? But anyway, I like that fight. Eddie Hearn had some choice words to say. He really wanted to, well, at least he said he really wanted to match Eubank with Kelliam Smith and all these people. I don't know. I'm not sure if he made them an offer or not, but he was against it. He's like, who's advising to take this fight? This is garbage. It's like, well, he can fight Charlo next. That's not the worst fight. But anyway, I really like Korobov. Korobov Eubank Jr. I'm really happy Korobov, who really fought Charlo tough until the closing rounds. That's what won it for me for Charlo, because he hurt him and almost knocked him out. But he fought, valiantly in that fight. And that's kind of Korobov. Like the first 8 rounds, he's going to be in the fight. And then he tends to wear down a little bit or tends to get hurt or gets hurt. So we'll see how this fight works out. But I'm glad that he's getting a legitimate fight, because he deserves one off of that Charlo. I really wanted to see that rematch, but it ended up not happening. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to shut up for a little bit, just for a little bit. You're not going to shut me up too long. Let me go out to Carcino and see how the hell he's doing. Carcino, how the hell are you doing, my Midwestern brother? How the heck are you?
Oh, I'm hanging in there right now. It's been a busy day. But other than that, everything's been cool, man. I'm just glad I got to make it this time. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you.
All right.
So I know it happened Friday. Is that Friday? Yeah, Friday. Wow, I forgot about that. But anyway, I just kind of want your we're going to talk about what's coming up this weekend. Obviously, a lot of fights. I just mentioned them, Taylor-Prograis from London and Shakur and Joette. And that sounds like a Hollywood couple. Erickson Lubin and Nathan Gallimore, EasterJr-Granados, Shakur and Joette. Doesn't it? It kind of sounds like that. But anyway, we'll get into that, because this is a great weekend, dude, for boxing. Now, hardcore fight fans, they're in heaven for this weekend. The casuals, they probably don't know these guys, but we're gonna have fun this weekend. But I do want to get your take on that Beterbiev and Volchtik fight, and how Volchtik really started out really well in boxing, and once in a while landed a really big right hand or uppercut, and he was kind of combo punching him on the move. But slowly but surely, Beterbiev started, trapping him on the rope, landing heavy body shots, hurt him, made him take a knee, basically, in a sense, made him submit by the end of it. What did you think of that fight, and how did you kind of have it going into the final round, the 10th round, because some people favored Beterbiev's heavy shots. Some people thought Vorstick was landing clean and he was outworking him. What'd you think of that fight, man?
Well, it was a contrast of which style you liked. To me, it was very easy to score. I had no problem scoring the fight. I'm like, wow. But I guess it depends on who you were rooting for. But to me, Vorstick, what he was doing, the nail, what he, it was like everything was open. Everything was working for him. So when you have a situation when everything is working for you, you're just like, wow, okay, well, everything's going great. So there's nothing I need, because in the beginning, everything was there. The jab, every feint, Beterbiev was right there for it all. He really wasn't moving his head. He was just bringing the aggression. So it was working right into his favor. It was like, oh, boxing, if you're boxing, this is perfect for you. He's coming right. This guy's not going to last 3 rounds. And that's what you're thinking. So he's not really pacing himself. He was fighting to put combinations together, be slick, and just like the punches are going to get to him. But when Beterbiev landed some punches, like especially the ones he landed to the body, he wasn't able to take it. Vorstick wasn't able to take it as much as Beterbiev was. He was more bred to take this physical punishment. He made the fight turn into his favor. As the fight went on, it went exactly the way Beterbiev wanted to go. And Vorstick did not want it to. He did not prepare for a fight to go past 6 rounds of Beterbiev. He thought he was going to stop him. And you saw when that didn't happen, it was like, uh-oh, the guy keeps coming. It was like a Rocky movie. Like Apollo
like
Creed was doing all these wonderful things, right, but he's winning on the cards, and the combinations are coming, but this guy is still coming full. Okay, this would normally drop a normal human being, but this guy is still coming. What is happening? Because he caught him with some beautiful shots, but it was the aggression, the pressure. He couldn't deal with it. And he was taking some heavy shots. And I knew after 6th round he was looking a little gassed. He was looking like a deer in headlights sometimes. Like the corners, like what are you doing? Stay behind the jab box. And I see him try to change his style a little bit and try to, hey, I got to keep this guy off me. I got to throw and stay busy and keep my hands moving. And he was keeping his hands moving a lot more, but the telling blows, the blows that looked like they had the more effect on him were landed by Beterbiev. I mean, he was like a buzzsaw. He was chopping each round, chop, 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 chop.
Yeah, you could tell, dude. You could tell the nail wasn't trying to listen to what Teddy had to say. He's like, dog, you get in there and take some of these shots.
Exactly. Teddy is like, what are you doing? You're going down Main Street. If there's a fire, the fire department comes. You got to put out that fire. You meet fire with fire. Firefighters put out fire with fire.
He's like, I'm hot, dude.
Like,
I'm hot, dude. Leave me alone.
He was looking like, I don't know what you're talking about, but you're definitely not seeing what I'm seeing. So, man, it was incredible. He was all over the place. He was he's doing things that he didn't naturally do. When I saw him starting to shuffle his feet and try to move position, I'm like, what is he doing? I mean, he was trying to do something else, but it was something he hasn't trained for or didn't normally do.
Right.
He was giving up the position. And when I saw that happen with Vorstick, I said, oh, wow, he's hurt. He's hurting right now. And I was like, he's getting broken down, and Beterbiev is not even buzzed. It's like he hit him with his best shot, and it's like mentally he saw it and was like, I'm not going to get rid of this guy.
Right.
I can't win. So he was hoping Teddy would just stop the fight. He wanted out. He wanted out of this fight. And I think I saw that in like round 9. I was like, yeah, he kind of wants out of here. You know, like I'm not gonna. I don't have this fight. It's not going in my favor. And he kind of felt that. But there's some people that felt he was winning on the cards and the fight was close. I'm like, it was a lot of rounds that was close, but I didn't see this fight gonna make it. I was like, I don't know if he could survive. Because I was like, he's physically getting beat up. Like, he was physically getting beat up.
Yeah, he really was.
No defense for the right hands. He was just really coming in with a high guard at one point and wasn't letting the hands fly. So I was impressed with Beterbiev, and I'm telling you right now, I favor Beterbiev against Bivol in that fight. Because Bivol was supposed to get the winner of this fight. And that's going to be action-packed. But I think, by them, everybody sees the style and knows what he's going to bring to the table. And Bivol's going to be like, oh, I can get him out of there if I hit him with those shots. And it's going to be the same type of fight, I think. But I don't think it'll be as tough as boxing, because I think both of these guys beat Bivol. Bivol's very easy to hit. And when you're very easy to hit, and don't have a lot of, like, a little slickness to you, this is a dangerous guy to do that with. He's like a buzzsaw. He will come down, he was going to chop, he's going to start out with overhand right, he's going to come with an uppercut on the inside. All his punches are going to mean something. You can throw more, but he's going to come with nothing but pressure and heat at all times. Boom, 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 boom. Just keep pouring it on. So I'm definitely looking forward to that fight. Did you have it close on the scorecard when you were scoring it?
Yeah, I did have it close on the scorecard. I thought either guy probably could have been up. I would be okay with 5-4 for either guy, maybe even 4-4-1, but I only found 2 rounds that were like I'd have to watch again. Otherwise, I did agree with you as far as like, well, that round was a clear round for Beterbiev. That round was Bostick, and so I had it 2-2. Then I had Bostick get a little up from that busy work, but then like you said, you could see it wear down, and even watching it, scoring it, I'm still like, yeah, I hear you. He could be up, but I don't think he's going to last in this fight. And you're right.
Exactly.
It was kind of like
I don't think he's going to make it.
No.
And in my prediction, I had predicted that Bostick would win. I was just like, oh, he'll win a 12-round decision, probably get a late round stoppage, because I just felt that Beterbiev's going to keep coming forward, and that's going to play right into his favor. So he'd just be able to chop him down, and by the as the fight goes on, he would wear down and get, the punches will start having an effect. So I saw Bostick winning because, he's the better boxer. But sometimes will is something else. And he had the will. Definitely did that.
He kind of is like a bear. He kind of looks like a bear. You know what I mean? Like, he's just like,
yeah,
I'm coming for you, dude.
The MMA fighter, the one that beat Conor McGregor.
Oh, yeah.
Khabib.
Yeah, he does kind of look like him, actually.
Yeah.
Khabib, yeah, he does
like
look
the
like
same
him.
way little buzzsaws, wrestling bears and
yeah.
stuff.
Right.
So that's what
I
it
saw
reminds
him
me of.
swimming in like a river the other day, like going the opposite way of this strong ass river. Khabib, he's like, no, I'm working out. It's like, all right, dude, you trying to catch fish or are you working out? Which one is it? You look like a bear in the water.
Yeah.
But hey, he kicked the shit out of McGregor, that's for sure. And I kind of feel the same way with Bivol. Is there any news items that you'd like to get to before we get to Taylor and Prograis and Stevenson and Gonzalez and Robert EasterJr-Granados and all these fights coming up this weekend? Is there anything like news-wise that you want to talk about? Lomachenko got made the franchise champ. Oscar De La Hoya, obviously, things are going on with him, unfortunately. What are your thoughts? Any news that you want to get to, sir?
Well, we could talk about a couple of things. With Errol, from what I heard, he's resting, and there are a lot of people say he's fine. It's going to be okay. He just needs some rest at this point, and that he wasn't, even though he just had alcohol in his system, he wasn't like the alcohol isn't what caused the accident. But because he had alcohol in his system, because he had came from a party, that they had to charge him with the DWI, but he wasn't at the level of intoxication as far as what they are telling me.
Okay, that'd be new information then potentially. So you're saying he had it in his system, but he was actually just being a dumbass driving fast. It wasn't because his level of
he hit the medium. He was going too fast down the ramp, and what happened is he hit it's a bump, like a speed bump, off the ramp. And when he hit the speed bump, that's what made the car go out of control, because he was going too fast, and when it hit the speed bump, it knocked the car up, and that's when it started doing the spin. He lost control of it, and the wheel turned real fast and it hit the speed bump, because that car wasn't meant to go that fast on a road with speed bumps like that. So he hit one of the speed bumps off
like
the ramp.
Dirt.
And
you notice there was like dirt in the air. You notice how like when he was doing flips, it was like sand and dirt was in the air. You notice that? I wonder if he went through like the construction zone.
Right where the light pole was. Like it's grass over there. Like there's concrete and grass right in the little dirt area. And they got a light pole, poles and everything. It's like coming off a ramp of a highway.
Sure.
And that's exactly what he did. He just came off the ramp on the highway, so he was driving at excessive speeds on the highway. Came down the ramp, hit the speed bump, and it threw. He came out of the car immediately. It didn't throw him like way in the air. He fell out on the first spin, so he had fell out of the car. But going at that speed, with his face hitting, the ground like that. But he was fortunate that that he wasn't in the seatbelt, because he could have probably had a lot of back injuries or worse when the car landed.
Yeah.
But it's a convertible, so he was thrown from the car immediately as soon as it made the turn to flip over. But it's just the G-force of being thrown from the car going that fast. But that, that's the news I gotten back from the other side from just talking to people over there. So, the police had to do it because he had alcohol in his system when they took him in. So that was the biggest news that nobody really knows. So here, everybody gets it first before they find out anything. But they're saying, the family's saying that, it's they'll pay the fine or the ticket, but it did not cause the accident.
Okay, well if that turns out to be true, that'll be, not to say that it's not, because this is just the first time I'm hearing it, but that's interesting. Okay, that shapes the whole thing differently, you know what I mean?
Yep. I mean, it wasn't a drinking caused accident. He just hit the speed bump traveling at excessive speeds. It was mostly reckless driving than anything. But because he had alcohol in his system from where he was coming from, they got to charge him with DWI.
So was he just high in those videos then? Because why did he look so fucked up? Or is that just spent? Because those videos, he did look faded, I got to admit.
But the thing about it is, what I've always known is he drinks a lot. And he is Jamaican, but he drinks a lot. And that's what I was telling. The day before, Sean did a live video, and he's from Houston and knows Errol and everything else. And I broke the news to him that Errol was drinking. This is the day before the car accident. And I tell him on his show, like Sean was doing a live stream on YouTube. So on the show, I tell him, I said, well, Errol has a drinking problem. I was like, he drinks, and that's why Nate Jones had made a video about it about a year ago, I think. So he said that was the only reason he would pick Terrence Crawford over Errol Spencer to drinking, because he tears his body down with all that drinking. And Nate is one that knows, because he ruined his career and everything else and cut his life, his boxing career short. He said, I cut my career short 8 years because I was drinking. And he's like, I had a drinking problem. I was just drinking all the time. And he said, and that ruined me. And I ended up, you going in the ring, you're drinking, that's already tearing down your brain cells, and you're getting punched in the face for a living. That's not a good idea to have a long career in the sport if you're going to be drinking. So that's what was going on with him. And he was like, I know. So personally, I would tell him to, put the bottle down. And they said he won't even train anyone anymore who drinks. He's like, I don't even want to do that anymore. He's like, if you drink, I don't even want to train you. Because I've seen what happens to fighters. Like, I'm living proof of what happens to fighters when they drink and then they try to fight. It can hinder you. You can get hurt easier in the ring. And he said it destroys you. So he's like, I'd rather not have that problem at all. So I tell my fighters, look, if you're drinking, I don't want to deal with it. But he's seen Errol, he's been in there. Errol's been the sparring partner with Floyd. We've seen Errol for the Errol Spence camp in USA Boxing. Nate was there working with USA Boxing. He had 2 fighters in USA Boxing. There's Sean and Samaje, so they all know Errol. And so he would know firsthand more than any of us about his, habits. And, yeah, he's a drinker. And I was, like, joking, saying that Terrence Crawford should, offer, Errol Spence, just offer him, a fifth of liquor, and they might get the deal done. And I was saying that the next day, the car accident happened. So right away, people were like, he was drunk. It was 3 a.m, he was drunk. So everybody was assuming it already because people had spoke about it just that week, about his drinking. So now, when the reports was taking long to come out, I knew then that, I was like, well, they found some alcohol in the system. But when they investigated the crash, the alcohol it wasn't an alcohol incident that caused this accident. It was just excessive speed and reckless driving. And when they told it to me, and, but they, they're on their side, so they're going to tell the Errol side of it. But I believe them, from the report and everything else. Like, no, he hit the speed bump, he was driving fast, coming down the ramp. And, he had the speed bump in the road. He didn't see it. And once it, you hit a speed bump and you boom, and it knocked the car up. And at that speed, it flipped it. So.
All right. Well, that's good to know, man. That's a great update right there on that news item. Well, obviously we got a variety of fights coming up this weekend.
Oh, we have a lot of them.
We really do. The one that stands out as far as a variety of them stand out, but the World Boxing Super Series final from the O2 Arena in London, England. You got Josh Taylor and EasterJr-Granados. That'll be on DAZN. You got speed, you got power, you got some skill, especially skill offensively. I think both these guys defensively aren't great necessarily. You figure Taylor's going to be the guy on the outside. Prograis probably going to be the guy that's going to somewhat stock him down or attempt to. How do you see this one playing out? It's a good fight, man. 2 unbeaten young fighters in their prime.
Oh, yeah, and this is what boxing is about. And the thing is everybody's so cocky. Like both of them have their own, like cockiness to them. And it's cool, It's like I like it a lot. Josh Taylor, to me, is the more polished boxer of the two. He's more slick, and I think, he's more susceptible to be hit. But definitely, EasterJr-Granados' confidence is at ultra 100, and he hits like a Mack truck. He could be hit. He's willing to take a punch to see what you got, and he can box. And that's the thing what people don't know about Regis. Regis is a very decent boxer. He's like really skilled, but he knows if he feels your power and he feels like you don't have nothing, he will just take your heart. He will come after you. And that's what people love about his fight style, is that he comes and says, you know what, I don't believe you. I'm coming in. And Josh Taylor they're preparing for it, but I just don't think he has the fortitude to keep him off. I just think he don't have it in him to keep him at bay, and that could cost him in a fight like this. So I see in the first half, I see Taylor, using his boxing ability, and I think Josh Taylor gets stopped in about round 6 or 7. I'm gonna say round 7. He gets stopped by Regis. Regis is gonna walk through him. He's not gonna be able to have anything to keep Regis off of him. And when Regis gets on him, it's like when he gets the set, it's all over. That guy hits like a tank. Believe me, EasterJr-Granados can hit for real. They took Mikey Garcia away from him. He was supposed to fight Mikey Garcia. It did not happen. And Bob Arum is very adamant that the champion of the division, who just beat the Maurice Hooker.
Ramirez?
Ramirez, yeah. Ramirez was supposed to fight, I believe, EasterJr-Granados. And that fight he was the number 1 contender, and they were supposed to fight. But Lou DiBella decided to put him in this tournament because he didn't like the money split. And Bob Arum was like, I was ready to do the fight. He was like, okay, well, he's like, it's not about scared. And, he's like, promoters tell their fighters certain things. He's like, Lou is telling him, they're scared to do it, but I told Lou we could do it. Lou did not want to do it. Lou felt like they're going to be in a better bargaining position by building up EasterJr-Granados if they were to put him through this tournament and he's to win the tournament. And then he'll come back to the Ramirez, and they'll, get back to seeing who's the best there. And I felt that was interesting, but for a financial standpoint, it makes more sense. So I said, if they did that fight then, nobody would even care, except for just the purest of boxing fans. But he's very confident he could knock out Ramirez. He thinks like, oh yeah, Ramirez is scared of me. I'm gonna knock him out. Regis just has a confidence level that is through the roof. Sometimes he forgets to move his head, like he just doesn't care. But it makes for a more action-packed fight because he is trying to land anything heavy. And, Josh Taylor is slick. He's a real slick guy at times, and he can box. He's very underrated. A lot of people think he was overrated. They're like, oh, they're just pushing another fighter who's not worth it. I'm like, no, he's got skills. He can box. But can he keep this guy off of him? And can he keep Regis missing and reaching? Can he stay at the angles? So we're going to see because both guys are very confident. Josh Taylor's cracking me up like, what kind of guy wears sunglasses on the inside? Inside, It's very entertaining. That's what I'll say. I love the young, brash fighters, man. They want it. These both guys are undefeated. They're 1-2 in the division. This is what boxing's about. So you want to see who's the best. It means something. And I'm excited for it. So that's why I didn't agree with Derek Chisora going all off. I understand why he was mad. He wanted more money. And now he's not going to get it because now he's fighting David Price. So now it's like you're the co-feature anyway. You're fighting David Price. So now, even in that fight, Derek Chisora has got problems. Derek Chisora has problems in there with David Price. I think David Price, because of his size, I don't know what he has left. He was training for another fight, but I don't know what he has left. He could stay on Chisora and lean on him, his size and his height. If he just fights tall, he will give Chisora a lot of problems. And after the fight hits past 6 rounds, Chisora is going to be in danger. Because David Price could box. He was picked to be the king of the heavyweight. He was the one supposed to be Klitschko and everybody else, Tyson Fury. He was supposed to be the guy. David Price he never could get over the fact when he got knocked out and he got in the rematch. I'm like, why did they rush him back in that rematch? I was like, that was a dangerous fight for him. And he wasn't all 100% ready for that fight. Then he had injuries for him being that big. You know, big guys, they have a lot of injuries and stuff like that in the boxing ring. You know, it's just because he's oddly tall. And, man, and David Price kept getting injured. He retired, you know, just the frustration. And then he would, like, underachieve and then get clipped and knocked out. So I don't know what he has left, but as we saw with Andy Ruiz as a last-minute replacement, here we are. Here we are. So we get to see another action-packed fight in which someone can get knocked out at any moment. So the first 5 rounds are going to be explosive. And then after that, I can see if David Price, people get to see if David Price still got something left. So he really gets to show the world right now. David Price is still a good boxer. I think he's a better boxer between Chisora. You know, he has better boxing ability. I just don't know if he could take the punch anymore. Now,
or if he could ever. You know what I mean? That was his biggest thing. He gets knocked out.
I'm going to pick the upset. I'm taking David Price by decision. David Price by split decision.
Nice.
Over Derek Chisora.
I like it. I like it a lot. Let's move on to the ESPN Plus stuff. Shakur Stevenson and Stevenson-Gonzalez. It's basically like, I know it's for a vacant WBO, but it's really to kind of, you know, this is kind of like a boxing after dark, kind of like a show box where it's like, all right, these two undefeated young fighters, this really gets them over the hump into being a full-on contender at the weight class. I realize it's for a vacant belt, but you know what I mean? It has that feel of, all right, both these guys are stepping up to their biggest challenge on paper anyway. How do you see this one playing out? And they do have that little, you know, Shakur's dating Joette's sister thing going on, West Side Story, like Bob Aaron was talking about.
Yeah, they trying to create a soap opera drama here. These guys are friends. And I'm like, these guys were friends for a long time. But they want to create the rivalry like they're competing. Like only one can be there. I'm like, these guys were friends. These guys know each other. You know, he's a 5'5". For people who don't know, might be listening, never heard of Stevenson-Gonzalez. He was fighting down in Cali. He fought a lot of tough guys as an amateur. He has a very long reach. He's about 5'6", 5'7", could be shorter. But he's an orthodox fighter, and he's slick. You know, he's fast. He's slick, fast, got some movement to him. You know, I won't say he got great punching power, but, you know, he got some knockouts on his resume, but he's slick, he's fast. He's almost the mirror opposite of Shakur Stevenson. The only thing about Shakur Stevenson is bigger. He naturally has a bigger frame, and he could probably put on more weight. He's a southpaw, and that's going to cause a little disruption there, but these two have sparred with each other. You know, before when they was doing the USA boxing and getting themselves ready, they know of each other. And so they know each other's style, and I don't think it'll be a very exciting fight, like an action-packed. They're trying to sell it as it will be. I see it as a clumsy kind of fight for a while. You know, one guy's getting them an advantage. Another guy's not really letting
it go. Kind of feeling each other out.
Exactly. It'll be there for a couple of rounds. It'll be kind of uneventful. And I just don't really see that, you know, being like a mega event. But I'm interested. I'm intrigued. I'm definitely going to watch it. So I'm just loaded with boxing this weekend.
Yeah, right?
But I'm going to pick Stevenson to win. I'm going to pick Shakur Stevenson to get the victory in a split decision or majority decision. I'll put it that way. Majority decision for Shakur Stevenson. In an uneventful fight that any which way it could have went, it would have went that way. But they could surprise me. So
Nice.
yeah, that's how I see that one going.
Then we got Robert EasterJr. and EasterJr-Granados and Erickson Lubin and Nathan Gallimore. There's been a lot of injuries. Obviously, Terrell Goucher got knocked out that card for an injury, and F.A. got knocked off, and Rasheed Warren got knocked off because of injury. I think Frank Sanchez, who's made his pro debut, or he hasn't had many fights. I think he's stepping in for F.A., but we have EasterJr-Granados, and then the power-punching Gallimore going against Lubin, who's still trying to work his way back up from that, kind of surprising, shocking first-round knockout from Charlo about 2 years ago. How do you see those two fights playing out on Showtime?
Nathan Gallimore is going to knock out Lubin. Bet the house. Bet the house. I guess I said, what? They're making that fight? When I heard that, Chris, I couldn't believe it. I said, they're making this fight? That was the shock on my face. I wish you could have saw it. I said, oh, my God, they are making this fight. I couldn't believe it. I said, this guy's going to get hurt. Lubin, to me, is not strong enough. He's not powerful enough. That Jamaican from Kingston, he's a 5'11" tank. Okay, he's got he got like 20-some wins, about 18 knockouts. You don't want to mess with a guy like this. I mean, I've seen Gallimore lose the one fight he lost. They think they can outbox him, out-slick him, and get him in the late rounds. He'll gas out and slow down. I think he knocked him out, and Lubin will be gone in 5 rounds. I really don't see him keeping Nathan Gallimore off of him. I mean, I give PBC credit and Showtime credit for making this fight.
Right. Especially as a replacement.
They put them in the ring.
Especially as a replacement. Because he had him against Goucher, and that was a tough matchup. And then now they're putting him with a power puncher off of an injury. So, yeah, when I saw that the rematch, or not the rematch, but the substitute was a power puncher, I was like, okay, well, they're going to find out what they got in Lubin, that's for sure.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm picking 2 upsets this weekend. To start it off, everybody's like, man. Now, see, the thing is that Erickson Lubin, by him being young, he's like he makes mistakes that amateurs make when they're pro. When you're seasoned, he kind of looks exactly where he wants to go, and he's not thinking defensively sometimes. He's thinking what he wants to do, and he never gets to see himself getting set up for certain things, and that's how he got clipped at one time in his first fight against one of the Charlos. He was doing well, but he was so worried about being offensive and doing everything he remembered in the training camp and starting off on the right track and, want to get off fast. And when you start doing that and moving in that format, it's a good thing, but it could be a bad thing. It could turn on you and go sideways really fast. And you can get clipped with something you didn't see because someone is setting a trap for you because they can tell if you don't know certain things. Or if you're looking, they can look right at your eyes and say, okay, I can set traps. He's biting off feints. I can set up my left hook. He won't see it coming. His eyes are glued to what I'm showing him is available. And once that happens, I see that happening to Lubin because once he gets hit by Nathan and he feels that power, I think he goes into a panic mode almost and starts trying to, he hit me, I got to retaliate and come with something. If he gets clipped by this guy, sleep. Sleep. Nathan Gallimore can crack. That guy can crack. And I'm like, I don't even want to know what Lubin's going to do when that happens, but this is going to show me something from him. So I'm very intrigued to watch that. Then Robert EasterJr. and EasterJr-Granados. These guys are friends, and that's another fight that's from friends. EasterJr-Granados, I know him. I've seen him from Chicago. You know, he trains out here. He's fighting at a weight class that I think he could make the weight and be comfortable at and be successful. At 47, I don't think that was the right fight for him. You know, he went in there and fought Danny Garcia at 47. He's not a welterweight. He's not. So him fighting back at super lightweight.
Right.
And
Porter and Broner, and I think it was just, it was money opportunities, big fight opportunities. He took them, but it is nice to see him back at 140. And it's probably better for Easter, too, because 135 was getting tough, for him.
Oh, definitely. I mean, to me, this is a fight where I think Robert Easter is finally, because I was saying, like, he could have been the Thomas Hearns, and I told him, I said, you could be the Thomas Hearns of this division if you can keep making weight. And he kept making weight, and he did it for as long as he could, but he was in too many knockout, drag-out fights that he shouldn't have been in because he was sacrificing his height. And you started to see the decline in what he was doing over periods of fights. He was getting hit too much. Even though he was winning, he was getting hit too much and unnecessarily, and he wasn't making the right adjustments in the situation. Now, I think Robert Easter will definitely have his advantages in this fight. He'll probably be the harder puncher, has a bigger frame, but he gives up so much, and he's going to get his hands. He's going to get his work cut out for him with Granados. Granados is going to work, make him work. He's going to give him a lot of movement, a lot of angles. He's going to win some rounds, and it's going to be a tough fight for Robert. But I think Robert, his attrition will wear him down, and I think he gets the fight. Yep, I think that's where the skill set's going to come in and the victory's going to come in at once he starts wearing them down and starts bringing the pressure and keeping the fight where he wants it to be. Right. But he just gives up so much height. And it's like, man, you give up so much height, and you can just stand tall, and he likes to land that left hook of his. And I think he might get one knockdown in the fight, but it won't stop Granados. And I think it goes to the cards, and Robert Easter will win unanimously. But it'll let people know where he's at and how comfortable he is at 140. So it's like a gatekeeper type of fight. And, it's a good fight for Granados, who's got, about 6-7 losses. Some of them, I thought he beat Adrian Broner, but, he wasn't going to get that.
Right.
But, yeah, he's had a couple of fights that were close that could have went either way. And this could be another close fight that could go either way, but I think he gets dropped in this fight, and then he gets up and finishes it, and Robert will win by unanimous decision. But it'll be a great showing. Right. You'll get a great fight out of it.
That's what I'm
And
thinking.
Ricky Lopez, man. They got Ricky Lopez. I think he's fighting on the undercard. He's fighting, Joe Perez?
I haven't heard of Ricky in a while.
Yeah, so he's fighting Joe Perez, and that's on the undercard too. I think that's like the first fight of the night.
I see what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, that one's. I think it is. It's in. That's on Showtime. That's on the Showtime card too. That's the first fight of the night. He's fighting Joe Perez. So definitely watch that.
Anything else you'd like to add, sir, to the?
I think there's another fight I wanted to talk about, but I can't think of it right now.
There is another fight that could be interesting on the Shakur Stevenson-Gonzalez, Josh Greer and Antonio Nevetes. That could be kind of interesting. I'm kind of, somewhat looking towards that. Ricky Burns and Lee Selby is a big UK matchup that a lot of people are looking forward to.
That's what it was. Lee Selby versus that's it. Lee Selby versus Ricky Burns. That's
the Welch
fight
Mayweather, remember? Remember with the Welch Mayweather they used to talk about Lee Selby?
Welch Mayweather.
What happened to that?
They call him the assassin, the Barry Boy assassin. Yep, from Barry Wells. And, man, he started losing fights, and everybody gave up on him after Warrington just, like, dogged him. And it was like, what? And I was like, yeah, well, it was a very interesting fight. I'm thinking now, the way I'm looking at it is, that fight's tough. I see Selby winning the fight by decision, but Ricky Burns, I don't really know. They didn't give up on the Rickster. He's just punch drunk at this point. But that's going to be an interesting fight because his back's against the wall, and, this guy's lost his last two fights. Remember Ndongo and what he did? Julius Ndongo beat him. Then, Anthony Corolla, they went 12 rounds. I think Ricky Burns, he might retire after this fight, but I think he goes probably 9 or 10. They might stop it. Lee Selby just might be pop-shotting them too much, and they just say, you know what, we're done. And wave the towel. But I'm interested to see it because this could be his last fight. So.
Yeah, definitely. It's interesting.
Yeah. So that's it,
all right,
man.
man.
I just want to thank you guys for having me on.
Of course, man. I appreciate you calling in and taking time out of your day, and we'll be back next week talking these fights, man. We're going to have a lot to talk about, no doubt about it. Then we'll have Canelo and Kovalev, too.
Oh, yeah. You know that. I'm going to be ready for that one.
Yes, sir. All right, man. You take it easy. Have a good one. Go Vikings tonight, right? Go Vikings tonight?
Go Vikings,
right, man.
go. I got some players in fantasy football.
There you go. All right. All right, man. Later.
All right, folks.
That's funny. That's real funny. All right, so I did forget to mention that Louis Ritson and Davies Jr. It's Robbie Davies Jr. That was a good fight. I forgot about that. That was a really fun fight to watch. I forgot to mention that too. I just randomly realized that. Ricky Burns, Lee Selby, Chisora, David Price. Just kind of going over some of the undercards. That Vito Milaneski Jr., who signed with Al Heyman not long ago, who very young dude who had a great amateur pedigree. He's on the undercard as well. That Showtime card, I mentioned that Frank Sanchez heavyweight. I want to see that Greer and Navetes fight too. I think that's a good fight. I like watching Greer, Antonio Navetes. That could be that's something that you want to keep an eye on too. That's the co-feature to Stevenson, and just checking the schedule right now to make sure I didn't miss anything. But as far as just to finish that up, that's the co-feature to Stevenson-Gonzalez on ESPN Plus. As far as the Zone and the World Boxing Super Series, when it started, this is basically the fight that we thought would happen. Like I said, there's a lot of power between these guys. Well, I shouldn't say a lot, but there's power in the ring, no doubt about it. Speed, hand speed as well, skill. It's funny, though, generally speaking, that when you think of skill, you think of defense too, but not to say either guy doesn't have any defense. Like, Taylor will be on the move and kind of jolt in and out, and that's kind of his defense with his feet. But other than that, he's got a high guard at close range, closer to the pocket and in the trenches. He's got a high guard, does Taylor, and that leaves him wide open for the body shots. And obviously, Prograis has a lot of power, and he digs to the body, no doubt about it. Whereas Prograis, he once in a while, like Carcino says, will move his head or his whole upper body movement, but he keeps his hands so low that he gets hits with shots, man, like shots that he shouldn't. And I think this fight is really going to tell a little bit more about both these guys, especially defensively. I really think whoever kind of shapes up defensively just a tick, just minorly worry about it. I think that will basically whoever improves just a notch on defense, right? And then sets up their power shots with a jab. I think that's probably who's going to win. Now, if it's a close fight, competitive fight, you got to figure that Taylor's going to get the nod. No, he's not from London. He's from Scotland, but it's a lot closer than, say, Texas to New York or L.A. to New York over here, if that makes sense, And it's they can do more of the rivalry stuff over there because it's a lot closer to travel. I remember Eddie Hearn, when he came over here, he wanted to try to get this rivalry going, like cities that are close to each other. And you can do that on the East Coast a little bit. Philly and New York and D.C. and Philly and D.C. and New York and all that. And I'm talking boxing rivalries. Obviously, there's plenty of other sports, football and basketball and all, rivalries there, of course. But it's harder just because of travel. And even when you have a fight like Leo Santa Cruz and Carl Frampton, by them doing it in New York, it was a perfect halfway point. And when if you were paying attention to the crowd that night, clearly it was a UK crowd. So I would say, and supposedly they're not having that great of ticket sales that we're used to in the UK, but hopefully they have a big walk-up, so there's plenty of people in there. I'm sure, when they say they're not selling all the tickets, probably still 8,000 or 10,000 people, you know what I mean? So hopefully that is the case. And, can Taylor withstand punishment and be moving on the move for a whole 12 rounds? I guess my thing is, like I said, it's a southpaw matchup, so that's interesting too defensively, if you think about it. With a fair amount of power, it's a great matchup of power, speed, and skill. So it's definitely an intriguing matchup. I really believe at the end of the day, the Prograis that showed up versus Relic and the Prograis that showed up in spots in his career, more of a patient puncher, where he's worried about defense somewhat, and even like I said, if it's upper body movement, and where you can get to the point where you could duck a little bit, take a half a step back using an angle, and then counter right back, that would be huge. As far as like strengths and weaknesses or what they like to, punching wise, as far as Taylor, like I said, that high guard might get him in trouble. But he likes to do those quick combinations. He's got a pretty good jab. I think he should use it more and a little bit more consistent, a little bit more meaningful. Both of them love to throw hooks, though. And Taylor kind of throws like a sweeping hook at times. I noticed that. Like I said, a lot of it is him on the outside. He's got good hand speed. Somewhat okay defense, both these guys. But, Prograis, or I should say Postol, in that fight with Taylor, which I think was his toughest fight, Postol had a lot of success with that jab early and to the body. And as long as not the full-on sloppy, I'm coming just to knock you out, Prograis shows up. And that's we don't know. We don't know until you get in these situations. It's not about taking it, will he take it serious? It's more of, will he actually be focused the whole time and not try to make some sort of big splash, on the world level and on the road. And, sometimes these younger fighters, even though I think he's 29 or 30, he's young into his career, obviously. And both of them, I think, have fought like a good, resume compared, considering where they're at, especially Taylor, because, he only has, 15 fights. He did fight Branchik, and I remember O'Hara Davies, former champ Miguel Vazquez. So, yeah, whereas, I think they've been kind of slowly developing Prograis with Ndongo and Abel Ramos and Terry Flanagan. But like I said, what I saw in that Relic fight, as far as him being focused and whatnot, I think that's where he's got to be. That's where he's really got to be focused somewhat on defense. That's where he's got to be. He cannot, both of them really, but especially him because he's going to be the one coming forward, So will he? Because we've just seen Prograis be sloppy. You know what I mean? Coming forward, and for a guy who is pretty accurate, and doesn't really get wide with his punches, he's got that sweeping left hook. But also, I forgot to mention this: Taylor, if he can get on the inside, he shouldn't spend a ton of time there. But he has, in fact, was it Sunday Puncher? I think their podcast, they brought up kind of like the rough and tumble part, rabbit punching, basically. And when you look at it, that they brought up a good point there because it's true. He does rabbit punch. He gets away with it, just like many of people get away with a variety of stuff. Sean Porter's gotten away with a ton of stuff, and then Spence got away with stuff going against Porter, right? So, but as far as the clinch and kind of a quick clinch, turn him around type stuff, and then get out of danger, that type of stuff would help against Regis when he gets close. And like I said, try to make it a rough and tumble fight. Get him mad so he comes out of his technique. Get him mad so he's looking at the ref instead of, the focus where the focus should be. So at the end of the day, though, I feel like you'll see Taylor get the lead with the clean punching and the activity. I do think, after a while you start to see Prograis being able to cut the ring off, Prograis being able to trap him either in the corner or just near the rope, and also just timing him. I think that's something. It may look pretty raw, Prograis at times, but like I said, when he's on his game and his reflexes are there, as far as focused reflex with his head movement, I think he will start to do damage. But he's going to have to separate himself, I'd say, 8 rounds, you know what I mean, being on the road like that. So I do think he's going to slowly but surely wear him down. Prograis will wear him down, and I think he'll win. If he's really focused, it could be TKO. I'm not totally sure. But I'm going to say split decision in favor of Prograis. But I look for it to be a good fight. And we'll see how it turns out. As far as Shakur Stevenson and Joed Gonzalez, I do favor Stevenson in that one. I'm not going to say like overly heavy, but I really like what I've seen out of Stevenson of late. The first chunk of fights, and that's why I pay attention to prospects on the rise, but I try not to like make too many assumptions or just like a period at the end of a sentence. Like, well, we can chalk that up as that. Well, no, we don't know yet. Let's see it. I think a guy like Andre Ward is a perfect example of his way up. A lot of people were down on him when he was on the way up. And then once he got to the higher level, the contender level, then everyone's like, oh, my God, he's a stud. And it happened with Stevenson, the first chunk of fights. He was looking a little amateurish. He wasn't sitting down on his punches. And people were saying that, he's not going to be that good, or not great, I should say. And they were talking about other prospects at the time that now don't look as good. So it's kind of a wait and see thing. I did like his performance against Christopher Diaz. I thought that was a good development fight. Same with Alberto Guevara. in a sense because he can box on the outside. He's gone, was it 12 rounds with Leo Santa Cruz? So I look for Stevenson to win this fight, though. And since they've been in the ring with each other and they know each other pretty well, I think Carcino hit it on the head. I do think it'll be an awkward fight for a while, but Stevenson will, win clearly. And like I said, that's on ESPN Plus. Erickson Lubin, Nathan Gallimore. Gallimore is a guy that has a lot of power, no doubt about it, but also, I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's kind of like he's. It's kind of hard to like. I'm not picking the upset because there's more than just power, and which Gallimore is going to show up. Not to say that this guy was, he was a kind of a prospect that was talked about minorly. His breakout was because he took like an early draw on a loss. This was a couple of years ago. But then I think it was Rosario who he beat, and then Deloach. And both of those guys had kind of been making some noise. Then he lost a close decision to J-Rock. So, early on in his career, it looked like, not much there. Then he started showing some light. And, losing to J-Rock, and this was about a year and a half ago, something like that. I think it was like springtime, 2018. But then in his next fight, that's where it's like, I really don't know. I really don't know about, like the Patrick, what the hell is his name? Am I going to have to look it up? It's like Tashura or whatever. That guy's really not that good. And he pretty much cleanly lost to him. So which Gallimore is going to show up? And actually, Wood just texted me any concerns that Gallimore's trainer will be in Reno with Greer Jr. I mean, that is I didn't even think that through. I'm glad that you brought that up. That's another layer to an extent anyway. That could be an issue. I really think it just comes down to power. Can he land the big shot? Even that Charlo shot was just a perfectly timed shot that Lubin, there wasn't going to be much he could do about that. You know what I mean? Did he look okay against Ishe Smith? Yeah, Ishe Smith is obviously way past it, but yeah, he did. He looked okay. His last fight, there wasn't much to it. So, they've been bringing it back slowly. This will be his third fight. Not many people talking about that this year, but he's fought 3 times this year. He fought Ishe Smith in February. He fought in the summer. I think it was on Charlo's undercard in Houston, if I remember correctly. I don't know, man. Like I said, Gallimore is kind of up and down, not totally consistent. I like Erickson Lubin. I remember when he was a prospect, I used to do that. I used to put his name together, Lubinson. It actually sounds kind of nice. But I'm going with Erickson Lubinson. I'm going with Lubinson to win, and I don't think he'll knock him out, though. I think it'll be just a good decision, 12 rounds for him. He's got power, though, Lubinson. He just needs to not fall in love with it. You know what I mean? He needs to, stay pretty tight with his guard and all that. And I'm pretty sure he knows Gallimore's a big power puncher. But I like this fight. I did favor Terrell Goucher to beat Lubin, but obviously he got hurt. And, that's too bad for him. That sucks for him. But, he'll be back in the mix before long. But I kind of admit I'm with Carcino where you're like, so this is the fill-in replacement guy. And it's not like replacement the week of. You know what I mean? It's like, I think he was fighting on the card. Don't quote me on that. But anyway, he's definitely excited about it. Following him on Facebook and whatnot. I've had some conversations with him off air too and stuff, and so he's ready to go. Now, as far as the Robert Easter Jr., Adrian-Granados, two things about Granados. I'm really happy for him that he's back to 140 where he belongs. Like I mentioned, I get it. I mean, Sean Porter, Broner, Danny Garcia, these are great names with healthy-ass money for him. So I get why he did it, but it's nice to see him back at 140. However, his last fight was in April, and I'm not counting him out or discounting him because he got knocked out, but he did get knocked out. So, and he hadn't been laid out quite like that, and also just dominated. Danny Garcia dominated him way more than Porter did, and obviously way more than Adrian did, the other Adrian, Broner. So it's a big positive that he's at a weight that he's going to be really excited about, and he's also been talking about this for a while too, and now he's got the opportunity. But he did just get knocked out. Sometimes, you know, he's been in a lot of wars. He's taken punishment over the years. Could that be the thing that kind of sets him over the top to where he starts the punch resistance starts to fade? I guess that would be my only issue there. But as far as being in a brawl or being able to box on the outside, Granados can do a little bit of both. Now, Robert Easter Jr., coming off a really slow, ugly fight with Bartholomew. And obviously, you know, he did take an L against Garcia, Mikey Garcia, no shame in that. But Easter Jr. had a pretty damn good lightweight run, and if you look at the names he goes against, Richard Comey, and like, you know, I mean, he's fought some tough dudes. Didn't he fight Shavakov too? I mean, the dude's he's got a nice list, nice resume, dude. He may not, you know, you may have thought that Richard Comey beat him. Okay, maybe he did, but maybe he did. You know, I don't know. It was a close-ass fight. But Easter Jr. has been fighting some people, man. And the biggest thing with him is his fighting style. It's nice that he's at 140, 135. Had to been, you know, punishment on his body, obviously. So I like this fight stylistically. I think it'll be a fun fight to watch because both of them can box on the outside, but both of them tend to get into fights. You know what I mean? Granados, you know, if Easter Jr. is using his reach, Granados will have to get on the inside and get his head on his chest and stuff like that. And as we know, Easter Jr.'s never really turned down a chance to brawl. So, but it is funny with Easter Jr. A lot of people don't like on Twitter and podcasts and media members, a lot of people don't like a guy that sits on the outside a lot. Oh, it's boring. He's not trying to win. If it wasn't for the come forward fighter, there wouldn't be a fight. We've heard that, you know, millions of times throughout the years. But when a guy like Easter Jr. comes around, and just because he's tall, that's it, right? That's it. Well, he's got a good jab too. But it's funny, he gives us these brawls, these fights that these people, quote unquote, love and what the sport should be about. But some of these same people, and a large percentage of them, to be honest with you, they'll just destroy Easter Jr. for brawling. And it's always kind of stuck with me. And I know that some of it's tied to not liking Al Heyman and the PBC stuff, but some of it's a little deeper. And it's just kind of weird. It's like, so Easter Jr. gives you all these, first of all, he's fighting the competition. He's fighting top 5, top 10, top guys, top tier number 1 guys, like Garcia at 35, right? I mean, he's fighting these dudes. He's giving you good-ass fights, dude. Sure, he could have fought Richard Comey differently, but that shit was one of the best fights of the year. So he's got a hometown crowd that even, and speaking of that fight I just mentioned, Richard Comey, wasn't that on the East Coast? Yeah, that was on the East. I think that was on Jacobs and, was it the Mora rematch? I can't remember, but it seemed like they were in Ohio. That's what it seemed like. So to me, it's just funny that Easter Jr. gets shitted on for not boxing a boring style, at least what a lot of these people call a boring style. So he's trying to knock dudes out. He's trying to win the fight, right? Like a come forward fighter. Without the come forward fighter, there's no fight. I mean, I've heard my grandpa fucking say that for years. Rest in peace. But then when Easter Jr. does it, it's dumb. It literally is stupid. And to me, that really rubs me the wrong way. And like I said, maybe a good chunk of it is Al Heyman, PBC stuff. Some of it's race stuff, of course. He's a black fighter. But also, I don't know. It makes me scratch my head, and it pisses me off. I mean, there's just no way around it, because it's like, okay, so old boy's giving you these fights, but then you're going to find a way to shit on him. He's so stupid. These are the words that they use. He's so stupid to fight that way. But then when he fights that way, then it's fucking boring. But anyway, as far as the winner, sorry, a little rant there, but I just noticed that with Easter Jr. And I said, hey, dude, fight the other way. But I also like that style too. I like a variety of styles. I don't like just one. Now, if a come forward fighter and a boxer's fighting, and the guy they're both elite, I favor, as far as who's going to win, not favor the guy, or I like this fighter better. I favor the guy who can defend himself and counterpunch and move and have different game plans. But we're talking elite levels. You know what I mean? But anyway, I think Easter Jr. will beat him. I just think Granados, man, to me, this is kind of a 50-50 fight, dude. And I'm tap dancing right now on who's going to win. I went with Easter Jr. by decision, but I think it's going to be like a majority split decision like a lot of Granados fights. And some of it has to do, I got to admit, with both of them have taken some punishment. I think Granados has done more against bigger dudes and more powerful punchers. I guess you can make the argument because it's at 47. And he's coming off a knockout, dude. I'm going Easter Jr. Majority decision, split decision, something like that. Let me see here. That about wraps it up. Trying to see here if there's any kind of late breaking news that I would get to, and it doesn't look like there is. So anyway, Portland 503. Do you want to go ahead and jump on? You win it. You win it to win it, or oh shoot, I just saw your text. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and see if you're there. I apologize. I just saw your text. Portland, man, what's going on? How the hell are you, buddy?
Yo, what up, Chris? Hell yeah, brother. Hey, this is nice afternoon podcast, man. I'm down for it. That anthem was for the man that's fighting this weekend, El Tigre, EasterJr-Granados. Well, you already know, man. He's gonna put in that work, and he's gonna look good, I think. And and also too, man. Isn't this? I don't think, is this fight at 140? Isn't it? I believe, isn't it at a catch weight of 143 or 142?
Okay, I didn't know that. No, I didn't know that. So maybe it is. I'm not sure.
Because I believe I heard that. Yeah, I heard that or read that on the one of the articles or something like that. Because I found it awkward too, because I was hearing that Granados was not moving back down to 140 just because he went up to 147. So, but I believe he's just trying to keep that weight on or something, because 140, because I believe it's 140 something, or like 142, I believe the fight is at, and But yeah, I think it's good. You know, it's a good fight. It's a good name versus name. EasterJr-Granados. Those are, you know, two recognized names in the PBC world, or Al Heyman world. But yeah, that's gonna be a fun scrap, man. I'm looking forward to that one. You already know, man. And you know, I'm hoping Granados actually, you know, I believe this is a winnable fight for him. In all honesty, just because I see him actually in a competitive fight, not like Danny Garcia. Like, man, he wasn't ready for no Danny Garcia, man. But you know, Danny Garcia put the work on him, man. Made him like, you know,
that
him up pretty good,
dude.
man.
I had Danny. I thought he'd win, but that surprised me that it was that dominant.
Yeah, man, and as in all honesty too, man, it hurts me watching it. I sometimes watch it just because I like, you know, I like putting on like random fights usually at like you know, right before going to bed. And sometimes, and I still watch it, you know, because I still got it on my DVR, but I still watch it and cringe and, you know, like, man, I just see Granados' face at the end of that fight, and he looks all beat up, and he looks like, man, what the fuck, dude? Like, what the hell did they put me in here for, man? Like, I wasn't ready for this dude at all. But yeah, that was a tough ass kicking to watch, and but Danny moves on in his career, and it's funny too, man. And Danny hasn't really fought. Who has he fought at one point? Not I mean, I don't want to bring this to Danny Garcia, but like, you know, he was rumored to get that before, you know, the accident, but he was gonna get that, maybe that Earl Spence fight. But then I was thinking, like, what has he done at welterweight? He lost to, you know, Sean. He lost to what's his name, Thurman, and I believe he's only got like fucking Brandon Rios and Granados like as a win at 147. So you know, no, and also what's his name, Lamont Peterson. I believe that's 47. Paulo Malignaggi. He's got all right wins, right? But it's like, I don't know. It's like he hasn't done, like, I mean, like beating up EasterJr-Granados. I mean, he wasn't even ranked at 147 or any in the sanctioning belt. So I mean, you took an easy fight, but like now it's just, I don't know, whatever the fuck. But it's like, whatever, you know, Danny moves forward, so whatever the fuck. But yeah, man, as far as that, yeah, I just want to say that the Granados
You're right.
is in a competitive fight.
I just got confirmation from Wood. It's 142. I'm glad you brought that up. Good call. I hadn't heard that. Yeah, because I'm really glad that both of you guys helped me there.
Yeah, because I knew something was. I heard of a catch weight. That's why I was like 142. I was like, you know, because what's the name? It's kind of weird too that, you know, Easter is going to 142. Even though, you know, you look at his frame, man. Like, you look at him, like, it's kind of funny. Like, you look at him in pictures with like Broner and Gervonta Davis and all these other fighters, and I'm looking at him like, dude, how the fuck do you make like 135, dude? Like, dude, that is crazy. That dude's big. He's like a big 135 pounder, man, and now he's going to 142 and fighting Granados. So this is a good. I think, in my opinion, this is a good competitive fight, man. And I think, you know, both guys. You know, Granados has got that, you know, come forward style, you know, throwing a bunch of punches, combination puncher, and so it's going to be very intriguing. And also, you know, Robert Easter Jr. is going to, you know, play the counter puncher and you know, the patient fighter. So we'll see. You know, we'll see who pulls it off. But you know, you already know, man. I'm rooting for my boy EasterJr-Granados, man. You know, Chicago. You know, I'm not from Chicago. It's kind of, you know, there's Mexicans out in Chicago. Shout out to them, and you know, they're doing it. You know, doing this shit out there. You know what I mean? So, you know, we're all over this fucking place, man. So, but yeah, man, rooting for EasterJr-Granados. That's that's the 26th, I believe. And but also, you know, we got what is it? Is it the return of Lubin? Right? He's coming back.
Yep.
I think he's on the undercard.
Yeah, he's taking on He's taking on Lubin-Galimore, who's been on Showbox a fair amount. He's been around. He's got power. He's just kind of inconsistent. But he's a good fighter. He's a replacement for Terrell Goucher.
Yes, that's who he replaced, right? That's how I'm all confused. Wasn't he supposed to fight Terrell Geisha? And you know what? I'm actually happy it's probably not him, because he kind of shit the bed with Lara. You know, in all honesty, it kind of didn't, you know, sometimes when these people, I don't know, I mean, my honest opinion is, like, if the fighter doesn't show up to a fight and, like, you know, I would have loved to see Castano, what's his name, Castano, the Argentinian fight Lubin. That would have been a great scrap, just knowing Castano, the way he put, you know, the work on Lara. Like, that would have been tremendous for me to, you know, to see that. And,
I'm looking at I don't think he shit the bed against Lara though. Gauthier? I don't think he shit the bed at all. I don't think he did at all.
Oh, okay. But wasn't it? I mean, wasn't it like kind of a boring fight though? Like, you know, kind of was a stinker, wasn't it? Like, I remember that, wasn't it? Like, he might have done good. Like, he obviously Lara's a tough opponent for anybody. Like, but it was very like, I just remember being very technical, and I remember the people talking about it. I remember people talking about it the next day.
His last fight, he looked good against Austin Trout. His last fight, I thought that was a draw, but I thought he won.
Okay. Who? Terrell or?
Yeah, Terrell. But either way, he's not fighting, so I guess it doesn't matter.
Yeah. It doesn't really matter. But yeah. I mean, he was the name though, right? He still brings the name to the dance. So, but I've never heard of this other guy that Lubin's fighting. So I'm intrigued to see that fight. Yeah. What is it? Okay. Oh, and it's on. Okay, and it's on Showtime. Okay, sweet. Finally, man, fucking some Showtime boxing. I thought this was like on Fox 12 or Fox or whatever. So it was pretty dope. Finally got to use my fucking subscription. I'm talking, bro, dude. They're going, man. They're going under, man. I don't think they'll be here after 2020, man. I think they'll probably keep the. In all honesty, they'll probably keep the fucking Showbox running, right? Because I think that's still a good outlet for upcoming fighters and everything. So, but I think they'll still keep that. But as far as championship boxing, I think it might be over, man. I think Paulie and Bernstein and what's his name, Morrow might be looking for different jobs. Because like, did you happen to did you see Bernstein he tweeted out about I believe it was like last month, and I actually commented on it, and he said something to the likes that he's going on tour with his band, and I was just like, whoa, I was like, dude, and I asked him, I was like, dude, does that mean Showtime Boxing is done? Like you're just looking for a new job or so? And he's just like, no, Showtime Boxing is still here to stay and everything, and we'll be back with a new schedule. And I was like, I don't know, man. I was thinking like, you're going on tour with your music and shit.
I get emails all the time for him performing and stuff like that. He routinely sings. Yeah, he's a singer too. I'm not.
Is he really?
I don't know about Showtime. What I do know is they have 2 years left on the PBC deal after this year.
Oh, okay.
That's what I do know. Now, contracts can be broken. That's.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that, but it'd be weird to add a bunch of fights late if they're not going to. Either way, who cares? We'll find out. We'll find out. You know what I mean? We'll find out if they fall off after 2020. A lot of people thought they were done this year. Because Bob Arum and Eddie Hearn told us that. So we'll see.
And the rumors of it, man, it's kind of almost pointing to that truth. It's just like, it seems like it is, coming to fruition. Like maybe they are going out of business, but I'm hoping.
Well, if they were going out of business, why would they have set up their? They actually announced some fights now, so it's kind of weird to go out of business and then put their best fights of the year right now.
Yeah,
I just think it's been a shitty year for him. Period.
Yeah, definitely, man. Yeah, definitely. And there's and I've been hearing a rumor too. Is it true because Wilder they paid Wilder way too much in that in his last fight with fucking what's his name the Brazil what's his name I heard because he got paid way over like the Showtime budget or so. Like are those rumors true? Like he might have. Like, they just didn't have that budget. Like, they gave it all to, in Wilder's last fight. Like, are those true? Are rumors true?
Well, when you say they gave all their budget, they couldn't have because they wouldn't be able to make these fights now. But they had to put up a pretty penny to keep that off pay-per-view. But that's the funny part about that. A lot of people were ripping it when they heard it was pay-per-view. Then it wasn't pay-per-view. Then they ripped Showtime for paying that much for the fight. So it's like, well, which one do you want? Do you not want it on pay-per-view or do you want it in your subscription? So, but obviously they had to play a pretty penny and they weren't willing to do it for this fight. They felt like maybe they wouldn't be able to make enough money because they couldn't get the message out there the way Fox could for Wilder Ortiz too, But like I said, as far as the going out of business, we'll find out. I don't want to sit there and overly speculate, but they just put out their best fights right now, so I don't think they're out of business.
Okay. Yeah. I'm hoping not either, man, because I like them. I like the whole broadcast. I mean, I like the commentary. The shows, their fights. I like, you know what I mean. It's historic. You know what I mean. You go back to fucking what's his name? Fuck, man. I'm drawing a blank. So fucking Jose Castillo and Diego Corrales. You know, you go back to that, or there's so many great fights that have happened on Showtime, man. So. I just would hate to see what happened to HBO happen to Showtime. That's my honest opinion, because I actually do like Showtime. You know what I mean? So, but also too, man, I don't have Showtime just because for movies or for certain shows, man. Like I'm just on it for fucking boxing, man. I mean that's my honest opinion, man. I'm rarely scrolling through Showtime, really, man. But also too, man. And if you have Showtime, like I don't know if people know this, but they run they do replays of fights, like old school fights or old school Strike Force fights during the afternoons, Monday through Fridays. So like if you ever catch it around the West Coast time, 7 p.m. ish, 6 p.m. ish, they always show something like just look at the schedule and it'll say who's fighting or whatever. So but it's usually old school Showtime fights, you know what I mean? So look out for that if you like. If you're ever just scrolling through Showtime, so but also man, I'm also looking forward to this Shakur Stevenson fight. You know what I mean? That's for that vacant WBO belt. I wish it wasn't vacant. I really wish it was what's his name, the Mexican dude. What the fuck is his name? Oscar Valdez. Thank you. Yeah, like I wish it was really him. Just to see, because in all honesty too, man. I like Oscar Valdez, but the thing is, for him, he's like having a hard time catching on to the fans or to the Mexican fans, or just to be a notable fighter. Just because like his fights always, I don't know, most of them go the distance. He takes too much punishment, and I don't know what's going on. Maybe he's just with Top Rank. I don't know, man. Top Rank is like I don't know, man. They kind of I don't know. Sometimes they fail with some certain fighters to promote them, and but I really wish it was Valdez fighting for Shakur Stevenson, just because I think that fight would be a really good testing grounds for Shakur Stevenson. To see let's see how good this kid is. How really good he is. In real life, just because people have this hype. There's people that are they got the hype right now. They Shakur Stevenson. What's the other kid's name? The Zone fighter, David Haney. There's all these fighters that upcoming. They got names, but they really need to prove themselves. And now Haney is the full champion, which I agree. I mean, fuck it, you know what I mean. Vasil is the what? He's the Fortune champion. What's that? The
franchise.
Fortune champion. Franchise, yeah, the franchise champion. And so, whatever, I mean, hopefully they can make that. I like Devin Haney talking his shit right now. I like that he's calling out Vasil Lomachenko. I like that he's doing that, and saying he's not scared, and if I'm green, take the fight. I like that. I like what he's doing. You know what I mean? So it's good for him. And but I'm looking forward to this just because so the rumors is true. He's actually Stevenson is going out with Gonzalez's sister. Like that's actually a fact.
But it's been a while. Like these two are friends. Like It's been a while since they've been dating. It's not like he just during camp was like, let me holler at his daughter, not his daughter, but his sister. But yeah,
I'm a sister.
But
okay.
They knew each other already, and it's kind of been established.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, we'll see what happens. You know what I mean? And it's kind of when they spin shit like this, fights get a little bit more interesting, man. Because man, no one wants to lose, and especially these young hungry kids, man. And I believe it's Joet Gonzalez's first world title too, right? I believe because he's like young too.
Yep.
Okay, yeah. So this is gonna be competitive. I'm looking forward to this fight, man. I'm really looking forward to this one. And like I said before, I wish it was Oscar Valdez on the card to see where Stevenson is at, and to see where what Valdez is at too, because it seems to be like he's just holding on to that WBO belt, and then now he vacated it, and so yeah, and we'll see what happens, man. We'll see what happens, and Valdez is at he moved up, right? He moved at 130. He's at 130 now.
Yeah. Yep.
He is? Okay, cool. Yeah. So that's interesting too, man. But we'll see what happens with Valdez. Also, too, man, I'm excited for Regis Prograis versus Josh Taylor. But in all honesty, man, I want to not lie. Like, I've never, in all honesty, seen a Josh Taylor fight. You know, he's got that hype behind him. He's got. You're right. He's what is he? Scottish or English? I know I can't really tell.
He's Scottish.
He's Scottish. Does he bring the English fans, like, or is he like English immigrated? Like, is he from there, like bringing the Britain fans, or is he mostly just Scottish?
We're gonna find out. I know that some of his biggest fights have been in Scotland, but I guess we'll find out. It's in London at the O2, so supposedly it hasn't been selling great.
Wow.
But that, you know, they could have a really big walk up, and it's tough to say. You know, what's selling great in the UK is a lot different than what's not selling great here. You know, that could still mean 10,000 people. You know.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, man. This is well, you know, we'll see what happens with this fight, man. I'm very intrigued. You know, I'm a big Regis Prograis fan. I watched him on a Showbox fights. I like his style. I like the way he fights. He's a tough, rugged, I would say inside fighter. You know, slugger. You know, power puncher kind of, you know, style. I believe Josh Taylor is the pure boxer coming into this fight. I believe, you know, he holds the WBA and IBF, right? And Regis holds that WBC. And you know, this is a good fight, man. I like this. This is gonna be dope, man. You know me, I'm rooting for the American Regis Prograis. You know what I'm saying. But yeah, man, I just, you know, seeing Regis Prograis in his you know, his last fights, he's been dominating like a motherfucker. So. Well, you know, we'll see what happens, and but I believe, you know, I got Regis Prograis. I'll say decision. I'll say unanimous decision or majority decision on Prograis' side. So just because I've seen him more, and I've seen his fights. So you know, we'll see what happens with that. You know, that's a really good fucking fight. And it's also for the Muhammad Ali trophy, and also too, man, now that we're on this little you know, conversation, fucking, I want to say how dumb Chisora looked at that press conference when he was shitting on, you know, on the lighter guys, you know, and he was shitting on the Muhammad Ali trophy. He was shitting on the fucking, on why he was the co-main, and he was, you know, talking shit that you're using as fans, and like, man, I'm not a fan of Chisora. I've never been, and I never will. Every time he gets knocked out, I look forward to it. So I just think he's a disrespectful dude, man. You know what I mean? Just like, hold back, man. You know what I mean? Like you haven't, dude. You're only known for getting knocked out, dude. You know what I mean? And talking your shit, and you know what I mean, and getting glassed by Hay. You know what I mean? So it's just like, come on. I mean, whatever the fuck, man. But I just thought that was very disrespectful for that dude to come out and, you know, shit on all these people that are, you know, way more talented than that dude. You know what I mean? Because I see, like, you know, Chisora, I feel like he's a Ricardo Mayorga, but without the talk. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't have that talk, in my opinion. Like, you know, I don't know, man. And I, you know, that's just my honest opinion. That dude was kind of a whack ass dude that you know, that press conference. But yeah, man. As far as that, those are the fights over the weekend. Those are really good. And also too, let me comment on fucking what's that? Mr. Dallas over there, man. Man, I don't know, dude. You know, I'm kind of I have mixed feelings about this, just because, like, you know, if you're gonna be drinking, but
talking about Spence. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Dallas.
Threw me off there.
Yeah,
Mr. Dallas. I got you.
Yeah, Mr. Cowboy over there, man. But anyways, yeah, man. I just wanted to say that, you know, I get, like, you know, he's got money, dude, and obviously, you know, you could tell by that car that he wrecked. But the thing is, like, man, I get so upset, like, cause, like, dude, if you're gonna be drinking and driving, or like drinking or partying, whatever drug you like, dude, hire a fucking driver or hire a friend, hire someone, bring your girlfriend. You know what I mean? Like, dude, like there's so many things you could have avoided that whole fucking thing, man. And now this, like, I believe this is gonna take more than a year's recovery. Like, I don't see him coming back within a year. I could see him coming back maybe late 2020 or maybe early 2021 now, dude. Like, I don't see that Crawford fight. any time in the fucking horizon. I don't, you know what I mean? And now there's rumors. I've been hearing rumors online, man. That's all I hear about. But I've been hearing about that he's got lacerations on his face, and actually them coming out publicly and saying that he didn't have a scratch on him and didn't have any broken bones, and he flew out the window out of
They didn't say scratch. They said he didn't break any bones. He has lacerations on his face. That was in the initial report. He has lacerations.
Okay, but I'm just saying, like, dude, I think like if I've never been in a car accident, but I've been in a few times where it's like it got close, and I know it shakes you up like really bad, like to the point where you kind of start finding religion, or certain people have different ways of reactions, but I don't know, man. I feel like, man, like a devastating crash like that and flying out.
You could have done something to him mentally, is what you're saying. I got you.
Yeah, mentally.
Right.
Yeah. Like mentally, he's gonna be like screwed up, man. Because every time he gets in that car, man, like, dude, flying out the fucking window in a Ferrari or a Lamborghini, whatever the car it was,
right.
Like going that fast, and like, dude, that would shake up any human. I mean, you're talking. This guy's a boxer. Obviously, he's got emotions going into the ring. Either scared or not scared. But I mean, a car crash is like life or death, man, or even almost. You could be paralyzed. You could be fucking. I mean, look at what's his name? I forget his name. 5-time world champion. The guy that had
Vinny
my
Paz.
time.
Yeah. Right.
Vinny Paz, yeah. I mean, look at that poor guy, man. He was in a car accident. He was, fucked up his neck. I mean, look at the movie. That's before my time. I really don't know too much about it, but I mean, I know that he was in a car accident too, and that really fucked him up. And so many things could happen, man. But mentally, I think it really is gonna affect him coming forward into going back into his life. Like, I mean, that's a devastating car crash, man. I mean, just look at the total. I mean, flying out of the car, that's scary, man. I mean, any human would be fucking shitting their fucking pants, man. And but as far as Spence, man, I just don't see him coming in within the next year. Like I said, maybe late next year or early next 21. But as far as his health, man, I just hope he recovers. Don't worry about boxing. Just get your mental stage back, man. Be with family, be with friends, be with loved ones. Nothing but positivity, man. Don't let this thing get to you. Because he's still a young man. He's still got a long, bright future in front of him in boxing. So it's just, but we'll see how he comes out of this. You know what I mean? Because there's still no video or a picture of a recent picture of him, right? Like everything's all like hidden, right? Like everything's all secretive with him.
Yeah, I mean, from my understanding, my guess is his face was super cut up and swollen, and maybe he just didn't want that out there. I don't know. You know how like you get your wisdom teeth taken out, and you got some crazy ass swelling, and you look like a chipmunk and shit like that. Maybe he looked like that, and he's waiting for that stuff to heal. I have no clue. It could have just been his personal. I have no clue. I'm not sure why he hasn't posted a picture or a video or anything like that. That's my guess. That would make sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm not sure. It's really tough to know if he had some head trauma, if he had internal bleeding. You'd assume they'd say that, but he was in the hospital for a while, so it's not like he was just there for a night, and I don't know how long. I don't know if he already got his teeth figured out, that surgery already figured out. He's got new teeth now, or like you said, I have no clue. It's tough to say. Yeah,
it is tough to say, but you can only speculate, man. And if things are being hidden, like no one's talking about it, and there's no real official, because like his medical records aren't public, right? Like they're not going to be like, oh, this happened. Everything's going to come from his camp, right? From his publicist or from his his people or whatever. So it's like you only hear word of mouth. So, but you can only speculate. But from what I'm seeing, man, all this stuff and no recent video, no like thumbs up or no like him being on the couch or with maybe his like kids saying like everything is good.
He only had one message so far. They got deleted. So
yeah. So that's what I'm saying, man.
Yeah.
I think he's got a long road of recovery after this, man. I think that's my honest opinion. Car wrecks like that, man. Car wrecks are fucking serious, man. I mean, dude, they're devastating, man. I mean, I've never been in one because I drive. I mean, my honest opinion, I drive like a little old lady just because of that reason. Because I get fucking. I mean, all honesty, bro. Because I've gotten a DUI back in the past, and I've learned my lesson. But the thing is that, you know, every time I get in that car, I always think about that little, you know, any little car accident. That's just my honest opinion. You know what I mean? That's because I'm a, you know what I mean? I'm a stoner.
Sometimes you can't help it.
Sometimes I can't help it.
Idiots on the road, you know. Sometimes whatever it is, but that's fair. And I think that's kind of what bugged me. And I had a little rant last show on that, where it's like, okay, like if you party, right? If you don't drink, then you kind of don't really have a huge opinion on this category, because you wouldn't know what it's like to drink, especially when you're a teenager or in your 20s. And certain things, and even like at my age, I'm older than you, so like, you know, like in the late 80s, early 90s, drinking and driving wasn't seen as such a bad thing as it is now. It was against the law, but it was a much lesser punishment. And the only reason why it's seen as more is because it's been rightfully so publicized, but also the only reason why not the only reason, but one of the main reasons why a lot of people are not doing it now is because you get in way more trouble and you have a lot more issues with insurance and all that type of stuff. And that's what kind of turned the tide on people saying, maybe I should get an Uber, maybe I should get a cab. And that's all I was saying last week, where I was like, to be honest with you, I have drinking and drive. You know, and the reason I stopped, though, I did stop. I haven't done it for a long, long time. I haven't done it since I've been like 20. But I'll admit, like, if you drink in high school, you have to have a sober person. Otherwise, somebody's driving that fucking car home drunk. You know what I mean? I'm just being honest. You know? And especially if you flash back a decade and even longer ago, in the mentality of people. And I was just being honest. Like, I wish I could sit there and tell you that I never did it because I thought I'd kill somebody, you know? Now, did that cross my mind or hurt myself? Yeah, that crossed my mind. Of course, that's part of it. But it's also because I didn't want to get in trouble, and I saw people getting in trouble for it. So that's why I stopped. It wasn't because I had seen people drunk and killed someone. You know, now Malik Sealy, or early 2000s, Malik Sealy, this Timberwolves player, some dude was driving down the wrong road of a highway and killed him. You know, so I did start to hear more stories of it, and it, like I said, it's been publicized more, and I got some shtick for that just because I told the truth, that I got to admit, I have gotten behind the wheel drunk before, so I can only sit there and shit on Spence so much because I've done it. And anybody that was in a party scene where you're constantly drinking on the weekends, there's a good chance that you've either driven in a car that someone's drunk or you've done it yourself. And if you've driven in a car as a passenger while someone's drunk, that's the same shit, dude. I'm sorry to say. And I know I tried to make that counterpoint to people, but, well, I've never driven it. Well, if you're in the car and you know he's drinking or her drinking, what's the difference at that point? You're not going to get in trouble, but you sure still could be part of someone that's hurting somebody on the road potentially.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's what it is, man. It's anything could always happen, man. You know what I mean? And like I said, like I've gotten a DUI and I learned my lesson, and I've never been behind the wheel drunk or high, like, you know what I mean? And you know, these are lessons you got to learn. But as far as, you know, Spence, man, it's like, you know, he's gonna. I just believe there's gonna be a post-traumatic stress thing, you know, situation for him. Like, it's just, I don't know, man. That is just. I mean, I looked at the video. That crash looks scary, man. I mean, shit, dude. I mean, that's a fast car. You know what I mean? So it's just, and it's not like one of those safety like cars that are insured to, like, you know, take a lot of damage before, you know, you'd take a lot of damage, like, you know, certain SUVs or, you know, certain other cars. So, like, I mean, what car was he driving? Like a Lamborghini, right? Lamborghini or Ferrari, like one of those speed, you know, cars that, you know what I mean, which don't have the best, safety guidelines for, for a driver and so. But the thing is, too, man,
if you got a Lamborghini or a Porsche, you're driving that thing fast. That's just the bottom line.
Yeah, man. That is true, man. That is true. All these, you know what I mean? And but some people, people like that, you know what I mean? But that's not for me. Like, in all honesty, like, if I had Spence money, I'd be buying, like, Lincolns and, luxury cars, you know what I mean? Like, just beautiful, cars where I don't have to drive, you know what I mean? I'll fucking hire a 24-hour fucking chauffeur, you know what I mean? And, but man, it's just, but as far as, fucking Earl Spence, I just hope he recovers. Nothing but positive, message and positivity for him. And, I'm just glad, there was no one else got hurt, like, and anybody else walking around got killed or anything bad, you know what I mean?
Right.
So it was pretty much all on Spence, you know what I mean? This all falls on Spence, but I'm just hoping he recovers. He's 100% mentally, and don't worry about boxing right now. Just get recovered, man. Just recover, you know what I mean? That's all I ask. That's all I ask from Spence, you know what I mean? Don't worry about boxing. Don't worry about Crawford. Don't worry about the fans talking shit, if they're saying you're ducking, and you know what I mean. Just be positive, man. Just be in a good place, you know what I mean? Because he's already being charged for the DUI, you know what I mean. So that's he'll feel the repercussions of that, you know what I mean. So so the law will do their job now, but yeah, man, and I just wanted to give my 2 cents about that, you know what I mean? Because I like Spence, you know what I mean. I root for Spence. I enjoyed him in the Sean Porter fight. I enjoyed him in the Mikey Garcia fight. I enjoy his fights. I just wish the best for him, in all honesty. Too,
yeah, we're gonna find out more too, because actually Carcino was on earlier, and he had done a little bit of research, and I don't know if this is true or not, because I don't know. We don't know. We haven't had an official word, but he said that Spence actually just had alcohol in his system, but he wasn't over the legal limit. But since this thing happened, the cops had to charge him with something, whether it's reckless driving or whatever. But I don't know that to be true. But what I do know is at some point, Errol Spence is going to have to answer some questions. And that's when we're really going to find out a lot more detail, because you're right. It's all up in the air right now. And I don't know. I have no clue. I agree, though, as far as, just get back and figure stuff out. We'll see where that holds you. And another thing is, once we find out potentially if he's got a fight date, then we can really go, okay, so he's going to be able to make that January, or he's going to be pushed back to the middle of the summer. Who knows? Like you said, you really don't know.
Yeah, we don't know, man. But as far as my prediction, I don't see him fighting at all 2020, man. And maybe early 2021. That's just my honest opinion, man. That car crash is devastating, man. That's something, man. And like we said, everything's up in the air. All this mystery's up in the air, and it's just like, if everything was okay and like everything was well, I think we would have seen like a public message from Spence, just maybe on Instagram or maybe something, something saying, oh, hey guys, I'm okay, everything's fine. Because it seems like, I don't know, man. I don't want to put him in that John Jones, because that John Jones situation, that's another terrible situation. But it's just like, at least it's not that, you know what I mean? Because that his shit situation, that put him out for like years, you know what I mean?
Ball game.
Yeah, because that put him out for like years, like 2 years, 3 years, and then there was like suspensions and then all that shit, and I don't know, man. That's a whole nother case with that dude. But as far as Spence, man, just nothing but positivity and love for that dude, man. And but as far as let me talk about another a lighter note. I've seen the Canelo and Kovalev workouts, their media workouts, and I just want to say, man, both of them look war ready. I like Kovalev where he's at right now. He doesn't look too damaged. He looks healthy. He looks good. I like Canelo. He looks strong. He looks healthy. So, we'll see. We'll see what happens in this, man. This is an intriguing fight, man. I'm nervous and excited at the same fucking time because, fuck, man, there's a good fucking chance that Canelo could get that fucking ass kicking, man, and that's no joke, man. And But we'll see what the fuck happens, man. And I'm rooting for my boy Canelo, Mexico all day, Andrew Ruiz all day. You know how it is, man. EasterJr-Granados all day. You know what I'm talking about. And but yeah, man. But yeah, and I'm just saying, bro. I'm liking this hype to the fucking Canelo and Kovalev shit, man. This is gonna be dope, man. I'm just looking forward to this shit, man. And but yeah, man. As far as that, man, let me get out of here. I don't have too much to say now, but I just want to just shout out to EasterJr-Granados. Let's get this win para Mexico, para Chicago. You know, dale lástima a Easter Jr. Ya sabes, dale chingazos. And that's all I got to say, man. And as far as that, man, Chris, I want to thank you for having me on, man. You know what I mean? I like these. Yeah, these are pretty dope afternoon podcasts, man. These are pretty cool, man. So, you know, this time.
Yeah, that might be the new. That might be the new late night, the afternoon.
All right, cool, man. Yeah, this is cool. This is a cool time for me. You know, it works out for me too because this is the time that I usually work out and you know, do my you know, my boxing workouts or whatever. So this kind of, you know, this does work out for me. So this is pretty cool. So, but yeah, man. As far as this, Chris, you know, thank you for having me on. Viva Ropedope, Viva Mexico, Viva Andrew Ruiz, Viva Canelo Alvarez.
There we have it. Oh, shoot. I can't believe it. Okay. Man, I almost messed this up. All right, so we got just a couple minutes left of the show. I was going to go to Wood, but he dropped off. I didn't get to his text right away, so maybe he had already dropped off. I just noticed he dropped off. This just came in. I got not much time to talk about it, but the basically the guy who's funding DAZN, he's pulling his personal funding, and instead he's seeking $500 million from investors. It sounds like they're going around trying to raise some money. He's, I guess, not going to, you know, like shoulder all of the rights fees because they do own, or you know, they owe a lot of rights fees over the next 5 years. What was it? 1.25 billion a year, 6 billion total. So yeah, that is some news that I just actually read. I'm sure we'll know a little bit more about it. But basically, you know, it sounds like someone from let's see. Goldman Sachs Group is working on fundraising, according to two of the people who asked not to be identified in the matter. Up to now, DAZN's expansion has been supported by Blavacnik, something like that. He's worth $25.5 billion, but you know, if he's got to put up the money himself, that does get pretty significant. But yeah, basically, they're seeking $500 million for funding in the future. The funds will most likely be used to support DAZN's expansion effort. The subscription service launched in 2016 in Germany and Japan, yada, yada, yada. They're now in 8 countries, I think more in general. DAZN has spent lavishly to acquire sports broadcasting rights, including a $1 billion partnership with Matchroom and 365 for Canelo. I don't really know about that Billy, though, for Matchroom. I think that's kind of all together. But, yeah, it sounds like he's like, you know what, I'm sick of bearing this cost. But in 2016, for example, the company quickly committed $3 billion to media rights in Japan, including local soccer, baseball, Major League, NFL, all 5 major European soccer leagues and Champions Leagues in general, and yada, yada, yada. So, I mean, they even paid $300 million for that Whip Around show. So there'll be a little bit more information. That's not a huge surprise that they're looking for funding from somebody else. Anyway, I'm going to get out of here. Enjoy the fights. There's a bunch of them this weekend. Really looking forward to this weekend and the next couple of weekends. It's about to cut me off, so I'll just let this music ride. Peace. Enjoy the fights. Be back next week.
Once you become the world champion, I believe that you feel you have the upper hand.